Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Going to talk about a number of topics in this video. We're going to again revisit the recent movie produced by the Obamas that debuted on Netflix this past Friday, December 8th. I guess it was in theaters on November 22nd, which means it wasn't that much longer that it was on Netflix, just a couple weeks. And then I guess had its world premiere on October 25th, just before the news of Matthew Perry's death, who died on Julia Roberts' birthday, and of course, those two used to date. And they say Julia Roberts, her hospital fees when she was born were paid for by MLK's family. Of course, Martin Luther King Jr., who has the parallels to Obama, who produced this movie that Julia Roberts is in about race relations. Big scenes in the movie if you haven't seen it. This won't ruin the movie, but just connections you might have overlooked. Big scene is when an oil tanker, of course, oil is black, it crashes into the beach. And big scene in the movie. Also, they're trying to find a radio signal later in the same film. Radio signal. And they find, something going on the channel 1619. And in history, the nation that's now the United States, pre-day America, when the Europeans were coming over here, they say August 20th. Obama's born in August. August 20th, 1619 is when the first slave ship from Africa arrived in what's now the United States. And would you believe what the name of that slave ship was in the history books? If you look it up, you'll find it was the White Lion. So the Obamas are putting this in the movie they produced, but how many people are making the connection or looking into what commodus is? That's the word at the end of the film on the bunker door. And most people just might totally overlook it or not even think about it. But again, you pay attention to what these filmmakers are putting before our eyes. They're communicating thoughts and ideas and history. And I started to learn to appreciate this when I was in college. One of the only electives I took in college was a class of a man who aspired to be a filmmaker, who was a critic of films in the local paper for that city where the university was, which was in Phoenix at the time. The campus was in Tempe. I went to Arizona State, but he wrote for the Phoenix paper as a critic. And he had a class called LA Cultural Theory, where he just taught about the history of Hollywood and Los Angeles and how the city was taken over by the motor companies and turned into the big sprawl for the new gas-powered automobile. Anyway, super fascinating class. But what I learned is, wow, filmmakers really do tuck in a lot of neat ideas and thoughts, and they do it so quick. And it's like, why do they do it like that? He never really explained that side of it. He just showed if you pay attention, there's a lot you can pick up in a movie. And as you get older and you learn more about the world, you realize like, oh, these people who are dropping these clues, they're like in secret societies where this stuff's still holy and sacrament, and they still study it, or religious orders with the same type of attention to detail and studying the same historical timelines. So, and again, the point of understanding this knowledge is if you could rewind the clock, if you weren't here at the time, you could have watched when we were talking about when it was, in 2018, and how we're coming up on this milestone of 400 years of slavery in America. We were talking about this at the end of 2018. Back then I could still get views. We had some videos that had upwards of 1 million views on this topic. How in 2019, we were going to hit the 400th anniversary of slavery in America. There's a Bible verse, Acts. Acts is the 44th book of the Bible, Obama number 44. But Acts, the 44th book of the Bible, and I know I say it like a chopping axe, but I mean ACTS. I cannot pronounce that word right. Should have went to speech therapy. Acts. But that book, the 44th book, Acts 7:6 is about 400 years of slavery. And then the next verse is about how that nation where it takes place will be punished, which is Acts 7:7. It gets interesting because in Gematria, Barack Obama equals 76, like slave, like Negro, like the U.S. federal government recognizing Black History Month in 76. But Barack Obama's name equals 76. The verse is Acts 7:6 about 400 years of slavery. Now, in the film produced by him, all these years later, and that's what we've been talking about, how we're living on this like biblical tick down to destruction that they keep forecasting. If you haven't seen this new movie, again, there's a lot to it. You could probably watch it several times and pick up more and more. But again, it's about pretty much the end of the world as we know it. America's going down. And this is the first film the Obamas produced. The ones who ran on hope and change. Like, well, the change didn't work, so here's what's coming. We're going to give you a clue with the black oil tanker. And again, oil is black. We're going to break this down a lot more, but other things we'll discuss in this video. Again, Obama's book, A Promised Land, and what we were saying when it was coming out on November 17th, 2020, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. Obama, number 44, puts out a book on biblical prophecy based on Abraham. Abraham equals 44 in Gematria on the day leaving 44 days left in the year. These people have been doing numerical rituals all this time right in front of our face that all traces back to the Bible, like we keep talking about. And I'm going to go back to this post as well from 2014. I posted this March 28th, 2014. This is, I started this research in August of 2013. So this isn't even a year in. But I have a huge post on Tupac's last album, which was put out in this huge Jesuit ritual and this huge tribute to Jesus. And I only knew a small fraction back then of what I did now. But from looking at this, I could just see in how all these major rituals in my lifetime, how they'd encoded these same numbers over and over, and it all corresponded with biblical prophecy. And for people who've ever gone to my old website, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, like where this post is, I have my first attempt at writing a book. I just put it out on the blog because I didn't think it was good enough for a book. It was called Revelation and the Birth of a Nation. And I started this blog because Janet Napolitano, about the same time I started it, she said that the next 9/11 is not if, but when, and it'll be the national power grid getting killed in a cyber attack and power being out across the nation for a significant period of time. I was like, that could probably be a pretty dangerous situation the way America is right now. And just, not a lot of people really knowing each other and so much fear. And anyhow, always been exploring this angle. And just like an older post like this with Tupac, we're going to get how it all fits together, how it's all biblical. But on the 5th track of Tupac's, and remember, Tupac, they put this out on a big Jesuit day. Remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day. But the big hit song off this was called Hail Mary, which is very Catholic, and the Jesuits serve the Catholic Church. Again, we're going to get to how all this Bible prophecy is being contrived so perfectly in a numerical, ritualistic pattern that does sync up with the Bible. Again, you start to say, it's like, oh yeah, we have the Bible as we know it because of the Catholic Church. We're on the Catholic Church's calendar, the Gregorian calendar, named after Pope Gregorius, whatever number he was. Back in the 16th century, the century the Jesuits were established, and English was standardized with the 26-letter alphabet. But anyway, I was pointing out how in this post, this 33-second spoken word introduction on the track called Blasphemy, and about how everything is unfolding according to prophecy. And of course, you have Bob Marley, for example, making songs about how they got to fulfill the book, how a prophecy is being played out, but maybe not actually God's prophecy, maybe a madman's prophecy. So anyway, just all these same ideas are just, I've been talking about the same thing for, like I said, a decade now. And again, I mean, this is an example that's just, I don't know if I've ever had one that knocked my teeth out more. A movie produced by the former U.S. president and first lady, bringing in all the ideas that we've been communicating for all these years. And again, I forgot to say, Acts 7:6 about 400 years of slavery. Again, in the U.S., it began in 1619 with the slave ship, the White Lion, exactly details that they put in this movie. And anyway, we'll end up going through all of it. But other things we will talk about in this video. Jennifer Aniston speaking out on December 11th about how Matthew Perry was happy. And she had just texted with him the day he died and the morning before it happened. And just because a lot of the stories have come out about like the bad relationship he had and maybe some other things that weren't so good in his life, it kind of made it seem like he was in a dark, depressed time. And now All these days later, a familiar pattern, Jennifer Aniston comes out and says, "Oh no, I mean, why wait? Why wait 44 days, Jennifer?" Again, we'll get to why that is and what it has to do with him dying the night of the hunter's moon, the full moon, and the time of Cancer, and where 44 fits in a big way, going all the way back to Neil Alden Armstrong. Of course, 44 is a number of death, and we also know what just happened this month, December 9th, the date that's circled for the month known as the kill date because of the 44 numerology. And Tennessee got it rough. They got smashed with a tornado 44 days from the anniversary of the worst tornado in history in that town, Clarksville. And then Frank Wycheck, the Tennessee Titan, fell and hit his head and died. And then his Titans with a big upset over the Dolphins last night. Congrats to the winners. But yeah, we'll get to this Eminem death hoax on that same day. The same day all that was going down in Tennessee on the kill date, Eminem death hoax in Wisconsin. There's two true 44 states. They're Wisconsin and Georgia, and those states have a lot to do with each other. The Braves have been in Atlanta in Wisconsin, just like the Hawks. And Hank Aaron, for example, recently died on 44 date numerology. He started with the Milwaukee Braves, who became the Atlanta Braves, and the two 44 states, Wisconsin, Georgia, when they were in the NFC Championship that year, where Brady went on to win with a 25-point comeback on 2-5 over the Falcons, where Falcons equals 25. It was Wisconsin versus Georgia. Brett Favre, drafted by the Falcons, traded to the Packers. But there's this big thing with Wisconsin and Georgia. Stacey Abrams, always running it in Georgia from Wisconsin. But that year, the NFC Championship, Falcons, Matt Ryan beats Aaron Rodgers, 44 points, winning score, NFC Championship. And a matchup we talked about before the season began for the possibility, because of the 44, only for that to happen. It just, all this time, we've been documenting the same stuff. How sports are rigged by this code. You know? How the news is rigged. How the rituals unfold. It's all biblical prophecy. It's all tied in with history. It's just, But anyway, talk about that. We'll talk about David Icke's daughter, dead at 48. Remember who came back the day before this happened? Mr. 48, Alex Jones, who predicted 9/11, his claim to fame 48 days before it happened. Again, Alex Jones, 48, InfoWars, 48, funny enough, World War 48, Illuminati 48, Freemason 48. Right now, rumors of World War and Israel founded in 48. David Icke from Britain, where Britain had control over Palestine before it was handed over, the segment to Jewish Europeans in the wake of the World Wars. David Icke, who got his first job with the BBC in 83, 40 years ago, when David's 40, and David won't teach about Gematria. He'll do big streams with bankers about nothing, but he won't help get out the 56 code unfolding from 10 Downing Street to the Oval Office to California to India to all across the world. Imagine if David Icke helped get out the knowledge that we were putting out on the streets of Seattle March 13th, 2020. Again, right after the lockdowns, we were out at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation raising awareness about Event 201 and the 56 code, and why the first confirmed case in the world was initially 56 days from that simulation, and why everybody and their mom was saying 56%. Gavin Newsom locks down California, first governor to do so. 56% will get coronavirus in 8 weeks, so we must lock down. 8 weeks is 56 days, 56%, and Gematria coronavirus is 56, like COVID vaccine, like Gavin Newsom, like Society of Jesus, like Anthony Fauci, like how Trump's Jesuit education began in 64, 56 years before 2020. Never helped with a word of this. And like I was saying back then, it's obvious David Icke, yeah, he puts out some truths, but instead of having people lead to the source, like the Jesuits, who the founders warned about, he's leading you to lizard people, and I got some of my biggest trolls who I helped, build up their reputation, and now their whole channel's about lizard people and flat earth and slandering me. And it's like, once upon a time, they were begging me to promote their channel. And it's just, you just realize that's why there's all these weirdo agents around too. But controlled opposition's a real thing, and David Icke is it. He came up as a sports commentator, working for the BBC, working for a lot of media networks, and he's mega famous in the conspiracy world. And who are the two most famous people in this conspiracy world? It's probably Alex Jones and David Icke, right? And I was just talking about how 48 Alex Jones' return was, how by the numbers it was, how Masonic it was. We're talking about how Masonic it was when he was doing the rituals with Brian Rose, the banker, over COVID. But again, Alex Jones is Mr. 48. He gets the big comeback on Twitter, or X now, and then the next day, David Icke's daughter's dead at 48. And by the way, we'll come back to this more, but David Icke's cause of death for her, the word he used was long illness. She died from a long illness, which equals 48, right? What's that? What's a long illness? I guess it could be a lot of things. But what are the odds that that phrase that he puts out for the media is 48? And again, just these people being puppets on strings. It's the show they just put out for us on Netflix. They're announcing Usher is in, the Super Bowl halftime performer. And then Netflix is releasing The Fall of the House of Usher, about how you have to sell your soul to make it, and then how you have to give up the lives of your offspring and the people around you. The word evil is 48. And again, so is the word tree. And when I first started studying Gematria, it tripped me out that evil and tree were both 48, because I was like, why is that? How could a tree be evil? A lot of and I understood that the language is dualistic, but it just seems so weird to me that those two things would have the same numerical value, evil and tree. And I always wondered about it, but sometimes you have to have a question if you're ever going to find the answer. And then after a few years of studying this, from 2013, it's probably around 2016 that I learned about the clip-off, the dark half of the tree of life in Kabbalah, about this sorcery and spell casting and having influence over us. I was like, that makes some sense. 48 laws of power. Most power in this world is controlling power through force. Do this or else. This or this punishment. It is evil, in my opinion. The New World Order, if they'd ever begged to come out of the shadows and debate their philosophies, maybe they could prove otherwise. But again, looking at the power structure of this world, I can only describe it as evil, because it's always based in death and killing and lying, unless they know something we don't, and it really has to be this way, or Satan's going to come up out of the core and suck us all in, like they showed us in Cabin in the Woods. But yeah, if you didn't know that, it's a goofy horror movie in Hollywood, but it's also like, who made this movie? It's about kids who get sucked out into the cabin because the government needs a ritual sacrifice to essentially appease Satan. Like there's a CIA building under the sacrificial area, just out in the woods where you wouldn't suspect anything. It's like, God, what kind of movie is this? And hey, with regards to 48 in Hollywood, let's not forget that Hollywood equals 48. Hollywood, like the Druids used the holly tree for the sorcery and spellcasting. But Hollywood's another 48, so is Donald Trump, who again is promoting MAGA, the highest degree of the Satanic Church. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about Biden making headlines today for kind of opposing Netanyahu. Big story that he's like, okay, Netanyahu, you guys slow your roll on Hamas. We can't condone this. We can't fund this. We can't fund this and Ukraine. This is asking a little bit too much right now. We got to slow our roll. And then next to that, in the subheadline, they got a thing that looks like the Luxor in Vegas. Got a black pyramid. Interesting. Scientists uncover a surprising phenomenon in the Himalayas that might be slowing the effects of climate change. Climate change is another big 56 phrase. And remember, they said that was the silver lining of COVID, is that it slowed down the world. So it helped out with some of the climate change goals. But yeah, before we go back through all these stories that we need to go into all more deeply, I do want to start here real quick. Zelensky back in DC today asking for more money from the U.S. federal government. Again, we live in a nation where there's been destroyed communities for all of our lives. We've never seen any federal intervention. And they're just worse. They're even worse now than they were 30 years ago, which is hard to imagine, because you thought like at some point something would have to come through. But this is the nation we live in that's always, spending the big dollars on militarism across the world. And essentially we're financing Ukraine's war against Russia, which is like, doesn't it seem like we're fighting Russia? But anyway, Zelensky's back in town, you guys. And today is his 322nd day of his age. And again, it's sad that Imagine we had a real education system and, kids went to school to learn, I don't know, actual real information. Don't you think at some point they'd actually learn about this Order 322, this prominent order at Skull and Bones? Maybe even to just teach about in a way like, listen, kids, if you're really good and you're really smart, you can get into Yale and then you can get into this really exclusive secret society, and then you'll have a really high chance at like president or a high position at the Federal Reserve or at this bank or this mega corporation, because just look at them all. At least teach it that way, right? But then you could also teach about like, there's some nefarious stuff going on with this thing too, and why do they call themselves Order 322, and why is it that George H.W. Bush, who was an Order 322 Skull and Bones at Yale, why did he give a speech about a new world order that would be achieved as the president of the United States, and why did he do it on September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day of 9/11, when the world trade centers came down? And then that was compared to COVID. And again, Trump was in Switzerland, Bankerland, the day COVID was confirmed in the US, gloating about his trade deal with China and how world trade would never be the same again. And then it wasn't. Mom and pop was out everywhere. Some mom and pops even suicided because things were so bad. But Amazon and all the big companies grew ever so big. And again, why you want to work for Yale Skull and Bones, because you wouldn't believe how many of those companies were founded by members of this secret society. And again, 322, you guys, it's the reason they say. So by going to Yale, I was able to confirm something that's all over online that's not true. All over online, unless they changed it over time. Maybe once upon a time it was true and they removed it and renumbered the buildings. But forever I'd read that Skull and Bones was at building 322 on the Yale campus. Well, I got to go there September 2022, and it was not building 322. But you read why Skull and Bones says they're into 322. They say it's because of this politician, this philosopher in Greece. Like the Greeks are so important to the secret societies. Pythagoras, so important to the Masons, a Greek. The Bible, so important to secret societies. The New Testament written in Greek. The Greeks, the mathematicians, numbers. Pythagoras, really into numbers. Pythagoras taught isopsophy, which is the Greek version of Gematria. And again, Demosthenes is also important, and that's who Skull and Bones says that the 322 is really in tribute to. And notice who else died in 322 BC just like him. Aristotle, a name that everybody knows. So again, there's a reason for numbers. They have spiritual significance. Remember, in Kabbalah, the tree of life has 3 pillars and 22 paths. And again, Genesis 3:22 in the Bible mentions the tree of life, 3 pillars, 22 paths, and knowing good and evil. The evil tree, the clip-off, using this knowledge in a nasty way. And, I'd almost say here that I'm not saying this is necessarily a nasty way. Maybe the Obamas have become aware, and they're trying to help send a SOS for America. Still a chance of hope and change. You guys better wake up quick, though. That Janet Napolitano warning, that next 9/11, not if, but when, it's getting a lot closer. Black oil. The first black president, a blackout. Don't forget the ritual that Public Enemy did with what you're going to do when the grid goes down. And then how they showed Arizona, the Valentine state, the last state to recognize MLK Day, considered a racist state for that reason. They had the song, By the Time I Get to Arizona, back in the early 90s. I think in 91, Phoenix has that Gematria in 91. It's the 13th triangular number, like all the 13s on this nation's history. That's another story. But anyway, yeah, so let's come back to this. Let's start right here. Because again, just about biblical prophecy. Again, you don't have to be religious to open up a Bible. Some people are like, "Oh, I don't even care about the Bible. I'm not religious." When I'm out sharing this information on the streets, I get that response from a good number of people. Things like that, like, "Oh, I don't care about all this stuff because I don't care about the Bible. I don't read that." It's like, well, maybe it would be worth it to read from some of the most published book there ever was, and the first mass-produced book there ever was. Like, to me, that's a reason to read from the Bible. I feel bad that I still haven't read the whole thing. I need to read the entire Bible before my life's over. I think someday when I'm just sick of trying to educate, if this ever doesn't take off enough, one day I might just say, you know what, you guys, we're gonna take a break from decoding the news and the latest Obama film and celebrity sacrifice, and we're just gonna go on a mission. And night by night, we're gonna go through chunks of the Bible, and we're gonna learn more. Because I guarantee you, if we took the time to go through the whole Bible, we'd figure out a lot more than we already know about this number code and where it syncs up with history and the ritualism going on. I mean, it could end up being a good thing in the long run. I've been asking somebody in the world to do that for years, and I haven't really seen anyone. I don't know why nobody wants to do that. Nobody reads anymore. I guess that's the same reason I don't sell any books. Never mind. I know all about it. But here we go. Obama again. New movie, you guys. It just debuted on Netflix, December 8th, 12/8, 128. It's about the end of America as you know it. Big bombs going off in New York, powers out everywhere, racial divide, tensions of a civil war. People aren't cooperating. They're in fear. They're acting crazy. Some people don't even know how to communicate because they speak a totally different language. It's again, for anyone who's awake, you're just like, God, man, they are really thumbing their nose at us with this one. But one more time, if you guys don't know this, my original website, I just want you to see what provoked me to start spending my free time. If you go to my old website, freetofindtruth.blogspot.com, if you scroll down far enough, you'll get to where you can see the years and how many posts were in those years. And man, 2015, I was just pumping it out. Oh, that's because my business had been destroyed. That's why my business was destroyed. I was super mobile. I was like, well, if I lost my business over this, I'm going to get it out. Oh, look as we scroll down, just what's, I mean, we just been talking about the same thing so many times. This nice little post on 322 and Skull and Bones and the Abrahamic religions, which, are the things that are always dividing: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Ancient Abrahamic religions are based in Genesis 322, about the tree of life, which has 3 pillars and 22 paths, from Kabbalah, where the study of Gematria comes from. Kabbalah, that is. Kabbalah is where Gematria pertains to. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. But ancient mystery religions involves Kabbalah, Kundalini, Hermeticism, alchemy, so on and so forth. 322. We'll be talking a lot more about 33 in a moment, but yeah, anyway, that's not even what I was trying to look at. I was trying to go back to my first post on what got me just like, because there was just way too much of this going on, and it's been a decade. So this is also the other reason why I say, don't live in fear, but be aware and have in your mind preparedness. I mean, realize you've been living under these people's authority for all of your life. They've been mocking you for all of your life. They foreshadowed 9/11 for over 50 years, from the time that literally from the end of World War II, they started out putting out entertainment and books with predictive programming of 9/11. Decades before they even started to build the buildings, they had the predictive programming. These people work at a very steady rate, just ever moving their agenda forwards. And there are some periods in history where it seems like it moves a lot faster than others. But sometimes the things they're forecasting, they're still a long ways away. So, I mean, that's the reality. The stuff that Obama's forecasting in this movie, it could be as soon as later today. It could still be 10 years away. It could still be 20 years away, 30 years away. Like they say in the Bible, no one knows the hour. And that said, you do get clues from this knowledge, and you are able to predict things and say, you know what, maybe I'm going to stay away from that event this year. I've always wanted to go to the Super Bowl, but man, they're like talking about World War right now. And Hollywood did put out a movie about a Palestinian terrorist group attacking the Super Bowl. Might not be the smartest year to go to the Super Bowl. Might be the wrong year to go, just in case. Or at the same time, could be the greatest year to go. And maybe had you not had that thought in your head, maybe you would have been there. But at the same time, you're aware of this knowledge. It's never a good time to go to the Super Bowl, because when you're awake, you see what's really going on with the Super Bowl, like what just happened with Frank Wycheck. Just so much ritual sacrifice in these leagues. Anyway, this post, what prompted me to post was there was all this predictive programming in society, in entertainment, about a future blackout event that just changes the world, changes the U.S., And there were entertainment shows, books coming out, what Janet Napolitano said. I was like, look at this. Even now the head of DHS is saying the same thing the entertainment world's doing. Channel 4 in the UK and the National Geographic Channel in the US both put out films that seemed very realistic. I forget what type. They both had like a long description of what type of film this was. It's fictional, but it very well could become reality. It could look just like this. And both were very apocalyptic about how fast it would get crazy. In London was the Channel 4 one in the UK, and the other one set in the US, how crazy it would get if if people found out the power grid was down everywhere. And again, they're always trying to instill fear in us. And they do seem to prep our minds for things that eventually do come, like all the 9/11 predictive programming from a million comics to movies to Die Hard to Ghostbusters. Anyway, what was tripping me out at this moment is I saw censorship starting to happen big time online. All the people questioning jabs got just wiped out on Google in like 2012. Then it was like 2013 was the year of blackout overload. It had already started, but just 2013 was Janet Napolitano and a few other things and books coming out. Former politicians, two former politicians had books come out at that time predicting a major blackout event. I was just like, something is going on, man. This is just too many people talking about the same thing at once. And I do remember at the time, I had a friend who I kept in touch with who had met in Seattle. We worked together at the group home. And she was planning to go to that Super Bowl that coming year. And I told her, I said, man, with all this blackout stuff. And remember, they just had the blackout Super Bowl like the year before, maybe 2 years before. I go back and double check what year that was. I think it was 47. This shall be 58 in 2024. So it's 11 years before that. So yeah, the blackout Super Bowl was also at the start of 2013. And again, that was Super Bowl 47. This year, the Chargers fell to 4-7 versus the Ravens, who won Super Bowl 47, which was over the 49ers in the Harbaugh Bowl. And Baltimore equals 95. And this year, the Super Bowl's on the Vatican's 95th birthday. Matt Stafford just stayed on 95 regular season wins in Baltimore. The Niners won the Super Bowl in 95. San Francisco is named after St. Francis of Assisi, who created the Franciscans, which is the precursor movement to the Jesuits. And anyway, to come back to this post, it was just blackout overload. And then something I'd become aware of in my years of post 9/11 research, if you will, was, if you never read this post, I mean, there's a lot of information here for a new person who's new to waking up. But the Georgia Guidestones used to always creep me out. And it was amazing to document the ritual they came down in this year. Or not this year, but last year. Yes, it was last year, July 6, 2022. Let me think for a second. It was the day George W. Bush turned 76 on 7/6. Who's a member of Order 322, Skull and Bones like his father. But he's born in 46. So yeah, it was July 6, 2022. And it was the 202nd day of the Pope's age that they came down. Skull and Bones in Gematria equals 202. Their Order 322. These stones were put up on March 22nd. But if you were looking into things in the past, there used to be this website like Deagle. And it was supposed to be based on all this military intelligence and information gathering and just like putting it out to the populace in supposedly a somewhat legitimate way. But it showed that the U.S. government had this anticipation in the 2020s of a major population dip. And, I never knew what to think about it. I was like, I don't know if this is real. This is more just fear in the world, or if this is like intercepted intelligence and there is something planned. And like I've been thinking since then, well, if they had something like that planned, it'd probably be World War, like what they've been showing your whole life, just big bombs going over, all these new apocalyptic movies coming out. I was like, okay, turning the power grid down. Oh, thanks Channel 4, and thanks National Geographic Channel for showing us how bad it would get within like 48 hours. I think that was both of their conclusions, that within 48 hours, it would just be total chaos if people realized what was up. But yeah, I used to always ask people about the Georgia Guidestones, and now it's going to be even harder because they're gone. But nobody ever heard of these things. Almost anybody you'd ever ask, you'd get in a conversation with anybody like, oh, this person's kind of awake. Maybe I'll ask them if they heard of the Georgia Guidestones. Man, I think in all my years of asking people if they knew about the Georgia Guidestones, I think it was like one time in person. Of course, people online know about these things, but just the people you meet in your day-to-day life. I think I had like one person ever go back, yeah, I have heard of those. And again, it's just like they're pretty creepy. They're huge 19-foot statues etched out in all these languages. 10 rules for a new world. Maintain humanity under 500 million. And again, that show Utopia that Amazon just remade about billionaires using their media to fake a pandemic, to mass vaccinate, to mass sterilize, to get the world's population down to 500 million. Again, thank you, Amazon. Amazon, don't you love that they're named Amazon, and the Amazon's like literally being cut down for all kinds of commercial purposes? I'm sure to make all the boxes that Amazon packages are in. Once upon a time was a bookstore, and of course, books come from trees too. But maybe some sacrifices are more worthy than others. A great book, maybe the tree. It is sad to watch a tree get cut down. It's like it's something you don't want to witness. You grow up in a neighborhood where there's trees, to watch them get cut down. It's like, oh my God, you feel bad. I don't think we're supposed to do that. I don't think we're supposed to do it. Our ancestors just live with the tree. Anyway, next thing you know, there's deadly windstorms and dust bowls across America. Anyway, this thing about actually, I'll make another point about this. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. That's the first rule. I guess just to read all 10 rules quickly again. When we get to the 10th one, that's the other one that really stands out to me besides just one. Because if you look at the rest of them, you could almost agree with them. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. It doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, I suppose. Or it also sounds a little bit way too authoritarian, but that is really the problem with it. But nothing's as crazy as the first thing. Maintain humanity under 500 million. And again, if you can't do the math on that, they're saying Earth's population is approaching 8 billion now. I think it was like 7 billion back when I was first talking about this. But, or here, I wrote it here. At the time, I was saying the ratio would be 13 out of 14 living people would have to die. If it's 500 million out of 8 billion, that's 15 out of 16 people have to die. That's where we are now. But maintain humanity under 500 million. Rule two is guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Again, you listen to these things where you're like, wait a minute, but how do you do that? How do you do that with freedom? Guide, like somebody's in control, like an authority. 3, unite humanity with a new living language. And again, I'm pretty sure that's English. Again, English in the 16th century as we have it, at the same time the calendar's established. As we're pointing out, the rituals day after day synced up with the Pope that the calendar's named after. Case in point, Pope equals 52 to go with the 52-week year named after the Pope. But I'm pretty sure that's what Rule 3 is, and that's what makes me think this was written perhaps maybe every rule after one it had been like an idea for some point, and then they're like, when they got the population control idea, they're like, okay, but this is rule 1 right here. Shout out to Henry Kissinger. He was Mr. Population Control. Rule 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Doesn't sound too bad. But again, what about just leaving things up to letting them sort themselves out through the idea that most people are decent people and they want to get along. And when a problem comes along the way, a person should have the freedom to resolve that problem in a way. Well, I see why humanity gets complicated. It's like your neighbor's kid. He saw you had a fridge in the garage, and he knew you kept sodas and candy bars in there, and he snuck one out in the summer. And you come out and you shoot him, and you say, "Well, sheriff, I mean, he stole a candy bar and a soda off my property. You know he's going to be obviously that's not." See, that's where it all came from, right? From the guy that's like that. And it's like, see, that guy's so wackadoodle. He's shooting all the kids in the neighborhood and won't close his garage. They all want that soda. But anyway, if people could just abide by the golden rule, you wouldn't need authorities to solve your problems. Everyone would just be treating each other right, and life would be in harmony. It's just like, I don't know why it's so hard for people. The golden rule. We've all broken it from sometimes. I do remember, I've told this story before. The worst thing, one of the worst things I ever did is when I was a kid, my friend's mother left a $5 bill on the counter, And I knew with $5 at the grocery store back then, you could buy a lot of like nice little things. And I did. I took her 5. I thought she wouldn't notice. And then she was so certain she came to me that I had taken the 5 because nobody else in the house would, which was obviously true, but I just would not admit it. I always feel bad when I think back about that, but I'm like, God, why did I do that? I was into the temptation, the addiction of the sweet treats at the candy store. That's what I really wanted. You could get like 20 Snickers bars back then. Anyway, it is temptation that leads almost everybody into breaking the golden rule. But that's why you're supposed to grow up and be like, okay. But see, had she like known it and shot me, that wouldn't have been right. I wouldn't have been able to grow up and be like, okay, you shouldn't steal somebody's $5 because you want candy bars. And at the same time, people wouldn't be starving and having to rob people if you saw like, man, that man's starving and I can help feed him today, so I should. Golden rule. Anyway, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Like, see, that sounds great, but how? When money just corrupts everything, how? Now you're in court, a poor man versus a rich man, and the rich man can change the judge's life. There'd be some judge who'd be like, okay, you could find the right person who would not take any bribery and would just do their job the right way. But those people are hard to find. Coercion, temptation. Well, also they might be like, here, you're going to take this person and settle my way, or hey, you see Henry over there, my big bodyguard. He does other things at nighttime. Better make sure your doors are locked. He's a pro. Okay. Rule 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Okay, so it's like there still is a nation system, but there's also like one singular ultimate authority that all nations adhere to. That does seem to me more like how, and you could argue that the United Nations is close to it, but it doesn't have as much authority as a world court would. Because, yeah, nationhood is a big thing. You see how important nation is in people. Like Sweet Lady says, growing up in Burma, even though it's third world, they were all convinced that they were like the greatest nation ever. And not only the greatest nation, but Burma's divided into like 7 big tribal areas. And again, they learned that their tribe is the most superior in the land too. So tribalism. That's how they divide us too. We're this tribe, that's that tribe, that's the enemy tribe. Get behind this. Support this, be against that, or else you're not part of our tribe. You used to see that's the tactic every day. Anyway, 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. I mean, I think everyone can get down with that one. Number 8, balance personal rights with social duties. Balance personal rights with social duties. I got to back up to number 7. CNN on the weekend, one of their top stories all weekend was a cop who got killed doing a routine pullover for an out tail light. See, that's the whole problem right there. A routine pullover for an out tail light. That's like a big thing that shows that you're not free. Do the cops really need to be pulling somebody over because their tail light's out? A lot of people have ended up in jail because all their life they've been able to drive and maybe smoke a joint down as they drive down the street. But this night they didn't realize the tail light was out and they're smoking their joint. And tonight they're getting pulled over and tonight they're in jail. And now they have a big legal problem and fee all because of the tail light. And, a guy who shoots a cop coming up for a tail light, he's probably what they'd call a fugitive. And, he's also been able to lay low and stay out of trouble until the out tail light. And that's where the cop's life is in danger. Now you're coming up on a man who's going to have to go to prison for life. Did you really want to, go up against this guy over an out tail light? So this is a lose-lose situation for everybody, but who wins are the tyrants who control everybody through money and useless and petty laws. Again, the way I feel that a cop should handle an out tail light is there should just be some universal signal, just like how people have the universal signal when you flash your headlights somebody that's coming this way, you're usually telling them there's a cop up ahead for a speed trap. Like most people understand that. I don't know if the younger generation still does that anymore. Seems like that's less and less in society. I noticed when I went up to Canada years ago, it was like crazy like that. But then the Mounties don't even pull you over. The Mounties are on the side of the road telling you to slow down like this outside of their car in their Eskimo outfits. You're like, wow, these police are dope, man. They're just telling you to slow down with their arms as I blow by way too many kilometers over. But it could be like that in America too. Literally, it wasn't the first time I went up to Canada, but one of the times I went up there, it was the first time I went to Whistler Village. I could not believe what I saw. The drug dealer is right next to the Mountie, and I started thinking about it. I was like, so this is actually like a good way to actually govern and police, because you know that there's going to be drug dealing in your community. A lot of times the crime with the drug dealing is just like on the corner, the turf war, the money robbery. So if you have the police officer there, but he's not busting anyone for drugs and he's just making sure you don't get in a shootout or try to rob the drug dealer, this is actually a well-managed situation. It blew my mind though, because I was like, wow, this, and I knew it was legit because like the guys, you saw people were buying Coke and stuff, and it's ritzy town too. That's probably also, I don't know if this is how they govern everywhere in Canada, but this is what I witnessed with my own eyes in Whistler Village. And what year is this? It's like probably around 2005 or so. But yeah, that's the way it really. Oh, I was gonna say, you know, cops should have like a universal signal if your tail lights out. Like they just flash you a few times. If you have to stop at the light next to it, they're like, hey, your tail lights out. You might want to get that fixed. By the way, here's a voucher. Go to this shop. They do a great job, and it's a $20 discount if you get it done within the next 48 hours of me handing this to you. Just to get the urgency of them getting in there and saving some money on it. Like, to me, that'd be good governing. It's like, okay, you know, $20 investment. That saves some deadly accident because the tail light was out. But how often does that happen anyway? When a car's in front of me with their tail light out, it's not like, oh, I can't see the car in front of me. It's like there's 5 lights I can probably see, plus all the reflections coming off the bumper and everything else. Is this a reason to pull people over? See, that's what we allowed America to become. Because, see, the country wasn't always that. When this country was founded, there wasn't even such a thing as police. There was self-governance. There was the golden rule. There was know your neighbor. Here, have a rifle or a weapon to protect yourself in case somebody bad comes into town. But yeah, now we're in this society where that's what people don't realize is just how controlled we are. And actually, maybe they do because they want to be controlled. It's just like COVID. Everybody wanted to be told what to do to stay safe from the 99.9% survivable illness, unless you were 80 plus in a nursing home. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Can you think of that in the time of COVID? I think Rule 7 is the winner on the Georgia Guidestones if I got to give a winner. Okay, Rule 8, balance personal rights with social duties. I think that's good advice for society. I mean, some of the stuff on here is all right, actually. It's just these people want to dictate the world's population limit, and they want to do it under their terms. Go listen to Bill Gates in his 2010 TED Talk as he grins at everybody. Again, it's about 26 or so minutes, that whole thing. You got to watch the whole thing when you got the time, but really you only got to watch about the first 5 to 7 minutes tops. You'll hear all you need to hear from Bill Gates about how we can bring the world's population down. You won't miss his very first bullet point for how we can bring down the world's population. It's gross, and it's why his buddy Jeff Bezos up in Seattle put out that utopia about reducing the Earth's population to 500 million through you know what, a JAB. That was his 2000 TED Talk, 2010, just like how he was the co-host of Event 201, the coronavirus simulation right before, 1 month before it began in Wuhan. And again, that simulation, Event 201, was the day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. Okay, Rule 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Again, a little bit open to interpretation, but is that the right word for what truth should be? A prize? I guess it is kind of a prize, but I don't think that's the right word. So, like, you'll find it if you work hard for it. That's why it's a prize, right? A lot of times you want to win the prize, you got to work for it. You got to sell the most chocolate bars. You ever have that in your grade school? Oh man, I remember my dad got so on that we won a bicycle. Now that I think about it, we were selling chocolate candy bars everywhere. Um, and I look back, and the reason most parents weren't doing that is because they had jobs that it wouldn't have been worth the time for a bicycle. Like, when I look back, when I saw my parents' tax returns when I was growing up, I was like, that's crazy. I just couldn't believe how little they made combined based on how much they work. A lot of hardworking people that don't get paid for their labor, and again, that's why people will also say go to college so that you can get a job in a higher class where you don't have to grind and slave away for nothing. But man, Rule 10, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature, leave room for nature. The fact that they use the phrase cancer, this just omnipresent word in our society. Cancer has gematria of 44. Again, there's only two states that have the true 44 connection, Wisconsin and Georgia. These are the Georgia Guidestones. They're in Georgia. So cancer equals 44. So does chemo. So does kill. So does Georgia. So does military. So does genocide. Remember, this whole Israel thing has a lot to do with 44 right now. Israel equals 44, like Zion, like Netanyahu. Again, Theodore Herzl, the founder of Zionism, who died at age 44, 44 years before Israel became a nation in 48. And again, Netanyahu coming back on 12/29 at the end of last year. Albert Pike's birthday, the Mason who wrote the letter about 3 world wars, published August 15th, 1871 on the Jesuit order's birthday. And in 1871, emphasis on the year 71, because again, this war just popped off in Israel on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's birthday, when Catholic is 71, like Sol Invictus. And yeah, anyhow, this post from 2013, I mean, everything that I was writing about here, we're going to talk about again today. I mean, that's why it, it really is amazing how many times we talked about the same exact things. And again, just 9/11, Illuminati, 13, 33. We're gonna hit 33 in a big way with the Eminem death hoax coming 33 weeks after Machine Gun Kelly's 33rd birthday, when he's hosting at this hip hop tribute to the Grammys tribute to the 50th year of hip hop. If you missed that, Machine Gun Kelly was there, but Eminem was not. There were some big hip hop names that were just not at that event, which I found interesting. And I'm like, I wonder why they are not there. I mean, there's some names that you would expect to be there that just were not. Machine Gun Kelly, you don't expect him to be there. But then you see why at age 33, as we'll get to. But yeah, just talking about all the same stuff, over and over, these numbers, these orders. Why George W. Bush, for example, graduated from Skull and Bones in 68, 33 years before he's president, and 9/11's going down. Again, 1968, when World Trade Center construction began, 911 made the national emergency dialing code. The Twin Towers coming down, the two towers synced up with Tisha B'Av that year to remember the destruction of the two temples. 9/11 that year fell 44 days after Tisha B'Av, which has gematria 44, like military, this big kill number. Again, Obama producing a movie about just crazy death all over the nation, bombs going off. Clearly some kind of World War propaganda campaign, noise weapons from the sky. Number 44, what a movie. Hope and change. And remember, hope equals 44 forward, 64 when you run it in reverse, like Obama became number 44, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act of 64. And a decade after Tupac's song came out, Changes, which came out a couple years after his death. But again, in the Obama film, the oil tanker, a big black ship, oil is black, crashes onto the beach. It's called The White Lion. In this same film, this film that the Obamas put out, again, the radio frequency that has a voice on it is 1619. In the year 1619, the White Lion was the first African slave ship, or European slave ship with Africans on it's more appropriate, that arrived in what we now call the United States of America. The year 1619 in the white line. And again, just like where we began in the beginning, we've talked about where Acts 7:6 about the 400 years of slavery in America fits in with Obama. And Gematria, Barack Obama 76. Again, if you're new here, notice Barack Obama 76, like slave, Negro, Rasta, blues. Again, the U.S. federal government's recognized Black History Month since 76. And if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers. So I'm just going to write the word slave to make a point. Slave is 59 when you use the alphabetic order, which is interesting because Ephesians 6 in the Bible, it's the verses 5 through 9 that are about slavery. The most infamous verses in the Bible are Ephesians 6, 5 through 9. Look up those verses. It's like, really? This is God's plan? Slave is 14 when you use the alphabetic order with numerology. Look into the 14th Amendment. Obama's also 14, okay? Slave is 76 when you run it in reverse, 31 when you run it in reverse numerology. 31 is the 11th prime number. We'll talk about the gematria of black, but one of the big black numbers is 11. And again, slave, 59 forward, 76 in reverse, just like Negro is, just like blues is, just like Rasta is. And, you know, you think about Motown, which came out in 59 in Detroit, Michigan. We'll talk about Obama's book, A Promised Land, which equals 59 and 76. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. The federal government recognized Black History Month in February in 76. And if you look at what day they did it, it was February 10th, which can be written 10/2 like 102. Slavery is 102. The American Civil War, which had to do with slavery, began April 12th, 1861, the 102nd day of the year. So anyway, Obama, Acts 7:6, 400 years of slavery. Again, we were talking about this a year in advance, why around the end of 2019, 2020, 400 years after slavery in America, why there'd be some kind of destructive event in the United States, other parts of the world. It was also 19 years, 2020, after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers. The moon's on a 19-year cycle. And again, Acts 7:7. United States 77, the nation's capital on the 77th meridian. A numerical code synced up with the Bible, prophecy being played out. You know, I mean, just think about how blatant this is when you know gematria. Even without gematria, you can start to see the pieces. It's like, okay, the nation's first black president. Somebody might realize, like, oh, Obama's the 44th president, and Acts about 400 years of slavery is the 44th book of the Bible, like Obama number 44. But I mean, it's just all right there. In history, the White Lion, the first slave ship in America with Africans, and the date was August 20th. Again, Obama's born in August. That day is 16 days after Obama's August 4th birthday, the Jesuit since the 16th century. The anniversary of the White Lion in Virginia, August 20th, 1619. This movie that made its widespread viewing on Netflix the day it premiered. 110 days later, President has the gematria of 110 and also 133 when you run it in reverse. Like August 20th leaves 133 days left there. Hold on, there's somebody at the door. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, if you're new here, this 133 number, both these numbers are massive with rituals with the president. But it is interesting that August 20th is the day leaving 133 days left in the year. And again, from that day to this movie premiering on Netflix, where everyone starts talking about it, 110 days later. And as we've talked about so many times, the word prophecy is also 110. And again, Obama, his book A Promised Land plays on the prophecy of Abraham, which is 44. Just like how again Obama, number 44, releases the book November 17th, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. Notice how the word prophecy, we just talked about the 110. It's also 106. Obama's book was put out 106 days after his birthday. The word black is 106, right? They communicate this part of this ritual in this movie with the history of slavery and the tribute in the prophecy of the Bible in Acts 7:6. But they do this with a big black ship, which probably also has a sexual metaphor too, right? It's coming through the water, wet. Maybe you're not old enough yet. But anyway, black 106, Black Lives Matter 106, Black Power 106. For anyone who ever watched BET, Black Entertainment Television, the hit show that really put that station on the map that everyone tuned into was 106 in Park. We were just at Yale last year and we documented how the Masonic Lodge for Black men was at building 106. Again, there's traditional masonry for Black men. If you look into the different sects of Freemasonry. But this number 106 all over Black history. And we were talking about this when Obama, look, I think I got the actual post here. I can just, again, A Promised Land, Barack Obama, Skull and Bones also, just like how the Georgia Guidestones came down on 7/6 on George W. Bush's 76th birthday. Skull and Bones is modeled after the Illuminati. The Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Kissinger from Bavaria, where the Illuminati was founded, just died in a big ritual. Same type of thing. So this post is from back when Bush was 74, but on 2022, he turned 76 on that day. This is just an older post. And they're, oh, you know what I missed in this post? I didn't see it back then. July 6th, again, it's 7/6 like Skull and Bones. Their alias, Brotherhood of Death, equals 187, like Abrahamic, like Washington, D.C., like Paris, France, like Society of Jesus, like George Washington, like Holy Roman Empire, like Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. There's more I could have added onto that list, but I definitely should have had the Brotherhood of Death up there. So it's also the day leaving 178 days left in the year where Kabbalah equals 178. And isn't that interesting? Because again, Kabbalah's tree of life, 3 pillars, 22 paths. So again, all of these numbers matter with Kabbalah rituals as well. It's not an accident that DC is on the 38th parallel. It's not an accident that the DC area code is the 202 and Skull and Bones is 202. Again, the Georgia Guidestones came down on the Pope's 202nd day of his age on Mr. Skull and Bones, George W. Bush's birthday, when, again, you have to remember, when he was president, it was just fear everywhere. Like they made it feel like we were all going to blow up a nuclear Armageddon, that there was going to be another terrorist hijacking or dirty bomb. I mean, everybody was just saying dirty bomb, dirty bomb, dirty bomb, red alert. I mean, it was just fear overload. And I think part of the reason people don't remember how bad it was is because we've always been busy. But I also just think like a lot of traumas, just as time passes, your brain just kind of wants to filter that out. They made it feel like it could be a huge trauma in everyone's life after 9/11. They got everyone on board with all the fear. And people like me, it's not that I wasn't totally, I knew they're mostly bullshitting, but I also saw that there was a level of realism to it. I was like, man, had I gone to New York and been on top of the World Trade Center for the tour that day, I don't know if I would have made it back down to the basement or, the first floor before the building came down. And remember, that's the kind of thing. You go to New York City and go to the top of the World Trade Center and see the whole city. And a real story for me, I had a friend in high school, that his family traveled a good bit, and they would often invite me and ask if I wanted to come with. And I did go with them on a couple of vacations, but what I learned is they make me pay for almost everything. And like, I got annoyed because I went I went to Hollywood with them, and they went to this fancy restaurant, and I was just like, I saw the menu, I was like, this is too much for me to afford, man. I like have paper routes and fast food jobs. And he totally expected me to pay the bill. And he's like, you got to get something. You might never be here again in your lifetime. But anyway, they invited me to go to New York, and I didn't go because I just knew there was no way. I was like, no, I just can't afford to go on vacation with them. It's crazy. But I always think back about that family too, because his dad worked in media, and it was his son who wanted to go see the movie The Skulls and was telling me I got to read the Da Vinci Code. and I'm pretty sure he now works in the media related world. So I just wonder what I wonder about a lot of things. But yeah, I look back and I say, okay, that was a friend and his dad. But yeah, what a weird thing to do, man. Take me to a nice restaurant, make me pay like a almost $100 tab in the 90s, like when I have to work for a month to make $100. I was like, okay, I didn't realize that this is what it meant to go to Hollywood with you guys. It's crazy. Anyway, weird life experiences. Coming back to this, ritualism, ritualism, ritualism. And here's something else I just started to think about. Janet Napolitano gave this warning when she stepped down from the Department of Homeland Security that the next 9/11 is not if, but when. Again, anybody can go back and look all this up. This is what I was just, I did not, I was just like, God, this is creepy. This is way too much blackout crap. And the next 9/11 is not if, but when, and it will be the national power grid going down through something like a cyber attack. So look at how old she is now. She's 66, right? And that's interesting because most Bibles are 66 books in length. And what's at the end of the Bible? You know, the cataclysm, the world war, if you will, the destruction. And then just this movie coming out from the Obamas is just, it's so annoying to have lived all these years and spoken out and just to get kicked in the nuts like this anyway with everybody else. It's like, this is what I was trying to avoid. And still, people are just getting kicked in the nuts, and they don't even have nuts anymore to feel it because they chopped them off. I mean, that's literally where we are in 2023. It's like, God, self-castration. This Illuminati is damn good. Their population control, I see how it's going to be at 500 million. God. But yeah, also, in light of this book or this film premiering on December 8th, you know, a number for all these years that I've known it seems to be more important than I ever bring attention to is 128. Just in my decoding, it comes up a lot, but I've never been able to pin it to anything other than its numerology is 11. 1 + 2 + 8 is 11. But I've never made any real great gematria connection. I guarantee it's something I don't know. Because this movie coming out on December 8th on Netflix, again, the day everybody saw it, the Obama's film about the end of America, pretty much, 12/8. Just look at the words, the way that boat is. White lion, right? White lion, 128, 12/8. And to be fair, if you put a the in front of it, the white lion, it becomes 59, just like where we started, slave. And I forgot to mention that Obama's Secret Service name is Renegade. If you didn't know that, look it up. It's all facts, just like it's a fact that Joe Biden's Secret Service name is Celtic, you know, the team that's won 17 NBA championships and kills 17 like NBA as well. And of course, John Havlicek wore number 17, and he died 17 days after his birthday on the day that Joe Biden, Celtic, officially announced he was running for president of the United States. And remember, LeBron had just become 4-6 in finals right before Biden was elected number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday as the nation's second Catholic president when the first JFK was killed at age 46. So anyway, numbers. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. I mean, again, just going back to the Bible, Catholic equals 46. It's important to both Catholic presidents, JFK and Biden, because JFK was killed at 46 again. Biden elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, something we pointed out way before it happened. And yeah, I mean, it just like, okay, I mean, do we need any more proof? Do we need any more proof of who's doing this and how it's been done? I don't think so. Again, the historical timeline's there. The proof of the ritualism's there. Who could have possibly achieved it? The Catholic Church that's all across the world. And of course, there are other hands in the agenda. The Jesuits are a Catholic Jewish alliance. Most people in the truth community just blame Jews all day. I think they're a relatively small piece of it when you look at how big the Catholic piece is. Yeah, bankers and you know, who gets the better of the bankers when the gangsters come into town? You know what I mean? The gangsters with the spiritual truths. The big black ship all over your beach with a message on it that they know most people aren't going to get because they don't know history, although they do know the phrase, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. That's what the cabal knows. They're like, yeah, they know that phrase, but they don't know shit about history. They'll never get it. Shout out to the person who left that comment. By the way, the White Lion 1619 connection. We've been talking about 1619 and Obama for a long time. I didn't realize the name of that ship was White Lion. And when I saw that comment, I had to go back and look in the film to see if it was true. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot too. Obama put out his book in a leap year. He put it out in 2020. So November 17th, the day that he put it out, was the 322nd day of the year too. You know? That's also why I was pointing out the thing about Skull and Bones, Order 322. Georgia Guidestones, again, put up on March 22nd. I mean, like, where doesn't it resonate? Georgia Guidestones Day is March 22nd, 322. Comes down on 322 member George W. Bush's 76th birthday on 7/6. What year was this country founded? Oh, yeah, 1776. 76, the same year the Illuminati was founded. Skull and Bones modeled after the Illuminati. I don't know. It all seems pretty obvious to me. That's where people come in. They're like, yeah, it's too obvious. It's too correct. It can't be true. It's like, okay, stop outthinking yourself. These people are in the highest offices in land, right in front of your face, in the obvious rigged games, smiling and grinning at you, tricking you into the next thing. Skull and Bones are known for being practical jokesters. I thought 9/11 was a practical joke, a really sick one, a deadly one, but a practical joke. I just like, really? They couldn't find anything, but they already found the terrorist passports in the rubble, but not the plane? Damn. Saudi Arabia doing with their passports. Perfect demolition, man. And then the mainstream media even lets you know about this meeting that the father Bush was in with one of the members of the Bidens, or not Bidens, the Bin Ladens, which actually sounds like Biden. Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. Remember, it was all after 9/11, it was all about Osama and Saddam Hussein. Then you get Barack Hussein Obama. And you don't think these people are playing games with you? 10 years after Tupac's song Changes, Mr. Hope and Change. Oh my God, man. It's been so obvious. And again, you didn't have to know Gematria. I didn't know Gematria back then. I saw how they were mocking us. I was like, no. Nope, this is another joke, man. This is another joke on us. And then I saw what Obama did on the campaign trail. He had the right message for like 6 months that we cannot vote for this immunity for the telecom companies. I'm a constitutional lawyer. They violate our rights and liberties. Can't happen. Saying all the right things. I was like, oh, maybe he's definitely right about this one. But then it came time to vote, and he voted the exact opposite of what he said. He voted for immunity for the telecom companies. I said, okay, you don't need to know anything else about this guy. Straight up politician. I mean, if he's going to campaign for all these months, say all that right thing, and then vote the opposite way, I never heard him say one time that he's going to vote for immunity. I never heard that. I heard him say all kinds of times, this will not happen. Not on his watch, the constitutional lawyer. And then he votes for it. I just said, how can anyone still support this guy? This guy should have 0% of this. I don't care what color his skin is. And no, let's not vote it for any of these other bums up here either. Let's tear down this massive mockery. God, people wanted to shoot me in Seattle. Seattle has that Gematria 44 as well, and that was Obama land. Oh my God. He was like the biggest thing in the history of the world in Seattle. People for days outside the Seattle Center when he came up there. Landed the world's biggest needle. The next thing you know, it's Obamacare. The next thing you know, it's Biden's in office and mandates and vaccine passports. And of course, it happened while Trump was in there. Both Jesuit educated scumbag actor frauds like all the rest of them. But anyway. Yeah, Abraham 44, Prophet 44. This post is from 2020, right? This is back before our prediction had landed dead on about when COVID would end, when the year of Tiger would roll around. You know, the book hadn't been out for that long. Number Games. It sold just almost as many copies back then as it has now. Apparently, it sold like almost every copy it ever sold in the first 2 months. But which would have been right about the same time Obama's book was coming out. But yeah, 100. Oh yeah, God, he was 59 then. I almost forgot. 106 days after his 59th birthday, man. A Promised Land, 59. Slave, 59. 14, The Small Way Like Obama. Negro, 59. Blues. We're all singing it. Hmm. Yeah, you would have thought like this post in 2020 might have woken the world up. All the Obama maniacs. How come like the millions of people that would always come out for Obama in Seattle, why aren't they all sharing this now? Like we got to support Zachary K. Hubbard's book. He's actually from Seattle. Maybe actually he's right now. Back then they thought I was wrong. They still think I'm wrong. That's the people of Seattle. That's why people just always just stay up in their own ego, just believing whatever the hell they want to believe. Facts don't even matter. Nobody wanted to hear it in Seattle. I was living in Seattle back when Obama was running, going against what he was talking about on the campaign. And remember, the Democrats ran on ending the wars. How did that go? They got every branch. They got the executive, they got the House, the Senate, they had it all. Did they end the wars like they ran on? Obama, I was pointing out to Bill, though, I was like, Obama doesn't really talk like he's going to end the war. That's the other Democrats, and that's the hype of the Democratic election. But I said, it's Obama, he's not really talking about ending the war. I'd point that out to people. Like, oh, he gets in there, he's going to, they're all under this mind control. Oh, nope, they got in there, and what happened? They escalated the wars. More drones, more troops, more money, more places we're going into. Now we're going into everywhere. Next thing you know, we're into everywhere. Obama's got the who was it again? Who's the military guy that Wesley Clark, man. Wesley Clark has that famous clip of saying that he found the memo on his desk right after 9/11 about all the countries we were going to go into after 9/11. It's like, what? And then next thing you know, he's like, he's in Obama's administration and they're in all the countries. It's like, I thought Wesley Clark blew the whistle on this. Now what? He's like in control of the drone command? People still can't figure it out. Like, man, this is something else to grow up and watch this shit play out. And the problem with it really has never been a bigger fuck you. And again, it makes a lot of sense. Most people are not seeing the fuck you because they're literally fucking themselves like day in and day out. Women's toys are at an all-time high in sales. The right hand method, or maybe for some guys it's the left hand method. It's never just been more in style. The people are so separated from the human being and so infatuated with the screen. It's a love affair. It's a lotion, and we should have all invested in Jorgens. But yeah, somebody might actually stop jerking if they're like, oh, wait, Obama's got a new movie? Let me go check that out for a minute. They definitely didn't catch the White Lion thing. Their bandwidth is not being used to watch my YouTube channel. Save a whole lot of money on lotion if you just hang out here more often. Can learn a few things. But yeah, just talking about the same. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the Black Lives Matter campaign. I Can't Breathe 106. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back to this. This post is from March 28, 2014. Again, my old website. And I only knew 2 ciphers at this time, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with numerology. And it was enough because I was just blown away. I was blown away right here. I'd already seen enough. This just had me. I couldn't believe it. The way he spelled it, Machiavelli, a play on Machiavelli who faked his death. 74, just like Jesus, just like cross, just like rapper, just like Messiah, like gospel, like parables. Again, you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Tupac, Tupac. Tupac, yeah, is 74. Just like Roman, the Roman crucifixion method was the cross. Triclavianism. But yeah, and then I started to realize things too, like killing was 74 and stabbing was 74 and holiday was 74, and 3 of the first 5 presidents died on 7/4, and the 74th day of the year is to remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing the Ides of March. And then this year on Netanyahu's 74th birthday, Jewish is 74. Jesus was from Judea, but on Netanyahu's 74th birthday, a Jewish woman's being stabbed to death in Detroit. You see the headline the other day that the police got Detroit's crime rate at a 60-year low. Again, that's where Motown was created in 59. You ever heard KRS-One's song about officer and overseer? Both those words have Gematria 44 too, like African American. And Obama, about the only thing you could really say that he did that was helpful for Black Americans when he was president is reduce crack cocaine sentencing laws. Since it's mostly Black Americans that are serving long terms for that. And again, don't forget Reagan declared the drug war right after crack cocaine it became a thing and targeted Black communities. And I always forget that man's name right now. He wrote the book Crossing the Rubicon, but he got the word out there on literally a real agenda to flood Black communities with drugs like crack cocaine for the sake of. And again, you guys, I mean, isn't it obvious? Slavery, prison labor is slavery. How many corporations use prison labor and pay those people pennies an hour? So Obama helped shorten the slavery chain for a few people. Hardly a gesture. If I was president of the United States, I think I'd just start doing things like that right away. If I don't have the power to change, I'm gonna start getting on the TV and using my power to get people to think about it. Where's it be free? Should cops be pulling people over for out taillights? Let's just have that conversation tonight. Every night we'll have a conversation about America, real things that people have to deal with, and can we make a simple change that actually might be better? Does the state get better because somebody was, their whole life smoking joints, going down the road, no problem, listening to the radio, getting to work to and fro safely? I mean, if you can't smoke weed and be on the road, then you should know that. But some people can't smoke a joint every day, and they never got in trouble. But then the day their tail light was out, they got pulled over, and then the whole car reeked like weed, and officer found a little green leaf left on the seat, and now you're in jail. I mean, and it's that story and a million others that just didn't need to happen. It didn't make the world safer. It made another tax for the people. It infringed on freedom and liberty. And again, the reason I'll refrain the statement I was going to say, but I've said it before. I mean, plenty of people can smoke weed and go down the road, and it's no thing. It's not a big deal. But it might be the wrong night where the tail light was out, and they're like, oh, shit, I didn't realize how big of a problem this was going to be. But yeah, here, coming back to this album. Again, the thing I was on about, there's this track, Blasphemy, on this album with Tupac on the cross that came out on Remember the 5th of November, which is Guy Fawkes Day, the day the Jesuits tried to blow up British Parliament. Unless you watch it on HBO, a Jesuit-run network, where the Jesuit priest tried to stop it all. Okay, revisionist history. But here's what it says. It's like you're listening to a show, and it's in a. Listen to it yourself. You listen to the tone of the voice they use. But it says, this week in Bible prophecy, God has a plan and the Bible unfolds. That wonderful plan through the message of prophecy. Again, this is on the Tupac album. God sent Jesus into the world to be our Savior, and that Christ is returning someday soon to unfold the wonderful plan of eternity for my life and your life. As long as we're cooperating with God by accepting Jesus Christ as our personal Lord and Savior, and as the Lord God does return in the coming 7 days. We'll see you next time here on This Week in Bible Prophecy. So, again, just these things being put on, but this huge emphasis on prophecy. And again, you start to pay attention. This is a major theme everywhere. And it speaks to why if you go to the New York Times, October 6th, 10/6, 1940, you have the headline in the New York Times that day, New World Order pledged to Jews. Again, the Old Testament, prophecy, Jewish prophecy, Abraham, Obama, Jesus being of Judea and only having one physical description left in the Bible, Revelation 1:14, which describes him with hair like wool and that of a darker complected person, which isn't like European Jesus that we see. And let's not forget that Tupac, the day he died, September 13th, is Caesar Borgia's birthday, who white Jesus is named after or modeled after. Caesar Borgia was the son of a pope. Pope does equal 52 when we run the alphabetic order forward, like the 52-week year. Pope equals 56 in reverse, like this album came out on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. Society of Jesus equals 56. Black Lives Matter equals 56. So many rituals that have been cleared Jesuit rituals with Black Lives Matter, which is used to manipulate and divide. Why do you think other races aren't using that tactic? Why do you think right now with the supposed anti-Semitism problem, Jews aren't launching a Jew Lives Matter? Again, the same media that's always targeted black people and tried to make people dislike black people and fear black people, they do it in a different way with Black Lives Matter. They just create a new division, a new trap for people to fall into. And the next thing you know, you're in Portland, Oregon, and they're having guys who really don't care about black people, but who are big, strong black men, uh, march down the street and like literally create violence and in the name of Black Lives Matter. And it's like, all right, who's paying these psychopaths and having the cops not do anything? As again, this has been going on in Portland. But Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And again, it's like that person doesn't represent black people, but somebody will look at that, an ignorant person will look at that, and they'll find that to be a reason to dislike black people more now, because now that's what they associate black people with, and Black Lives Matter. These crazy lunatics on the streets that the cops won't do nothing about. But yeah, if you go back and listen to that, you'll see it's 33 seconds that's spoken, right? About Jesus and the return after his crucifixion on the cross at 33. All right, in other news, Jennifer Aniston made headlines yesterday, December 11th, saying that Matthew Perry was happy. You know, all this stuff that's being said, that's not what she knew. She knew that he was a happy person, and it was just a tragic loss. But why does she got to speak out 44 days later when this number's all kinds of connected to death and tragedy? And again, as we pointed out, Matthew Perry died right after the 44th anniversary of his first film credit, which is a film with his father. And again, if you're new here, kill in Gematria equates to 44, 17 with numerology, 64 with the reverse alphabetic order. Perry died on October 28th, the day leaving 64 days left in the year, and he died on the 28th. In reverse with numerology, kills 28. Again, Matthew Perry's also 64. So, I mean, and then the other thing is, he died the day of the full moon. It was the hunter's moon, if you look it up, the day he died. It was the day of the hunter's moon, which equals 54 forwards and backwards. He died at age 54. That's how old Aniston is. But she had her ritual yesterday, 44 days later, on a Monday, named after the moon, where the moon's ruled by Cancer, and Cancer has that Gematria 44, just like Armstrong, Neil Alden Armstrong, first man on the moon in the time of Cancer in the year 69, when the moon landing, or the astrological symbol for Cancer looks like 69. And again, his full name, Neil Alden Armstrong, 201, just like the Jesuit order, like Order of Illuminati, when the moon is illuminated by the sun. And in the 16th century, that's when they named it the heliocentric model that confirmed the sun was at the center of everything, when this calendar was coming out and this language is being standardized. And they're doing all these rituals in time perfectly synced with the sun. And that heliocentrism, 75 is a big deal because the leader of the Jesuits right now is 75, and so is Israel. And again, the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, his name is 201 and 75. Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201, and just a million other things. But this show with the Obamas, a theme in the movie is how the youngest girl, how she really wants to watch Friends, but because it's the digital age and everything's out, she only had one episode left to finish the entire show, and that's when the power outage happened. This little girl that wanted to watch Friends. So one of the storylines in the movie is that by the end of the movie, she finds a billionaire's house with a bunker, and in the bunker he has like every DVD you can ever think of, including the Friends series. And again, this movie premiered October 25th, this Obama movie. Then it released on November 22nd, the JFK assassination. The end of the movie in the bunker where she finds the French show, there's the politician Commodus from Rome who was assassinated when all the US presidential assassinations have to do with 44. And again, Obama was number 44. Trump was number 45, but the 44th person to be president. Joe Biden equals 44 in Gematria. So it's amazing how you have 3 presidents in a row that have a legit 44 connection. And then now this movie's coming out and magazines are speculating that there might be a Trump assassination. And let's not forget that November 5th, 2016, which is the date of the election in 2024, November 5th, Trump supposedly survived an assassination scare in Nevada. But yeah, again, this Commodus thing at the end of the Obama movie, the Friends thing, Julia Roberts. Again, look at Julia Roberts' birthday. It's October 28th, the day that Matthew Perry died. And look how old she is. She's 56 years old, right? We were just about how important 56 is. Society of Jesus. Obama won the 56th presidential election. Black Lives Matter again, 56, right? Black Lives Matter, 56. Same cipher. Society of Jesus, 56. Remember, they painted Black Lives Matter in Washington, D.C. on Church Street, the whole prophecy thing, the whole black thing, the whole Bible thing, the whole Jesus thing, hair like wool. But they painted Black Lives Matter after George Floyd in Washington, D.C. on the 5th day of June, which is also the anniversary of Ronald Reagan's assassination. Ronald Reagan has the Hollywood parallels with Trump, and he was president when that was going on. But all of this is by design. And again, Obama's number, look at this. Barack Obama's 68, right? MLK killed in 68 on 4/4. MLK, who paid for Julia Roberts' hospital fees. The media was just making a big deal about this. MLK, Julia Roberts. See how it pulls up here. So November 1st, 2022, last year, just after her birthday, NPR brought attention. So I'm sure my sister heard it because it's pretty much all she listens to is Oprah, Martha, and NPR. She's a good Pacific Northwest liberal who goes to church every Easter and Christmas, is in holier than thou than everyone who's just not like her. She didn't used to be that way, though. But yeah, so they actually brought attention to this last year. They made, this was everywhere. I was just like, God, they're making sure everybody knows this. The unexpected bond between Julia Roberts and Martin Luther King Jr., right? So they made sure everybody knew this last year. Now she's in a movie produced by the Obamas, a crazy movie with a crazy plot. It's like, if I was the president of the United States and I ran to be president because I really cared about America and I want to help out, now I'm out of office and I want to have an impact. I don't know. Maybe Obama's a lot smarter than me, but I'm just like, this isn't the way I'd communicate the message if I was trying to help America. If this is SOS, like, it's all going down, you guys, the hope and change thing's going to be totally over. There'll be no legacy for me unless you guys wake up right now. I mean, if this is the way, but I would have come at it from a whole different angle. Like, to me, this movie just adds more fear and just, it's just like, yeah, we are in bad times. We know it. They could pull the plow on us today. We know it. How about give us the movie that really helps people instead of mocking them with putting it's just, it's everything else Hollywood does. And we know this guy's nothing but a puppet. I'm sure he's hardly the producer on the film as well, to be absolutely clear, but still they put his and Michelle's name on it. Most of these people who supposedly put out all these books, I don't think they write the books either. As someone who writes books, I mean, and tries to keep up with everything every day, like, well, actually, I was going to say, I shouldn't be as busy as a president, but never mind. Presidents are on vacation all the time. I've been taking a vacation the whole 10 years I've been here. The only time I traveled, it was to go pound pavement and get out the word about things. Like, we went to New York for 9/11, Oklahoma City for April 19th. These people taking all the vacations in the world. It's like, man, I feel like in that office with all that power, you should be using this time very effectively. There's no time for a vacation. Anyways, because it's all a puppet show, as we know. But yeah, 44, it's all over this Matthew Perry thing, too. And then he becomes a part of the plot of the movie produced by Obama. It's just, and what is the message about that? About how this younger generation, like, that's, I guess that's the storyline if you're watching. Sorry, I got distracted by just looking at the number 54 on the screen for the age and how Aniston's 54. Do you guys know where Obama was on his 54th day of being 54 years old? I know where he was. Do you know where Obama was? Look at this. Obama, September 27th, Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030, agenda, like the reason that's on the Georgia Guidestones and the reason they want to depopulate is to save the earth. And essentially that's what Agenda 2030 is, to make sustainable development goals so that we can save the future of the earth, so that there's not another biblical flood, the way the Al Gores of the world make it seem. But this is the justification for everything they do. So Obama, look at this. Obama was born the year that JFK became president. And remember, JFK was assassinated, and JFK was the 44th term president, killed at age 46. He was number 35. Remember, Gematria forwards and backwards. Catholic 35, JFK, the first Catholic president, dead at age 46. And I wonder if he really did die. I mean, it could have been all Hollywood. Skull and Bones is 149, the 35th prime. JFK's birthday is the 35th day of the year. Number 41, who was in Skull and Bones, George Herbert Walker Bush, was there that day. They flew his body back to the 202 area code. George W. Bush, he just turned 17 years old in 63. Big number with the Masons. Mason is 17 and Masonry is 33. The Masonic headquarters in D.C. is at the address 1733. Modern Freemasonry since 1717. The Bush portrait's up there. But anyway, Obama was at the last day of Agenda 2030, and here's how perfect it is, right? Jesuit order equals 54. That concluded September 27th, which is the day the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history. It's because it's the day leaving 95 days left in the year, and their original mission was to stop the 95 Theses. But Obama, born in 61, that was September 27th, 2015. So he was 54 years old. And here, just to make sure I'm remembering it right, let's go back and look. August 4th, 2015 to September 27th, 2015. 54 days later. 54 days after his 54th birthday. I guess technically it would have been his 55th day of his age. 54 days after his 54th birthday, Barack Obama at the very Jesuit climate conference. And there's a million more things that can be said about all those numbers and all the Jesuit rituals with Agenda 21 and 2030 and right into everything else going on. But again, just, these Friends actors being 54, Friends being so important to this new movie. And again, we know that the reason that they're showing us this cataclysm coming from Earth, or for the people of Earth, this great destruction that's coming, we know that when this Illuminati, which sadly does have the power to do this, they've created the world wars before. So, I mean, we're only talking about what's been done, and we're understanding how it's been done and how it will be done again, because those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Again, morons will come to my channel all the time and be like, what's the point of just like teaching about this over and over? Because every time there's a new story to talk about, a new example to talk about, and one more chance to wake up even more people. That's why I'm here every day doing this. Because I don't know when the day will be, but I don't want to live to see it. And I've been knowing it's coming since the day of 9/11. Because I said, okay, if they can do this, that means they can do worse in the future. And we'll see exactly what that is. And then Janet Napolitano told us what it was back when Obama was president. Now he made a movie exactly about what she said, which all the psychopaths is like things they were warning about after 9/11. And we're in the time of Israel's 9/11. And who can remember Netanyahu's 44 seconds of silence at the UN targeting Obama, who he thought hadn't given enough money to Israel? And now you have Biden, his wingman, saying that he's going to tighten up on the money. This Hamas thing is waning. It looks like a little overkill there, Netanyahu. Little overkill for you, you big killer. But, yeah, again, people always say, Zach, how do you remember all this? I don't. I forget almost everything. I just remember the things that are the most important. No, that's not even true. I forget some of the things that are the most important. I just remember the things that I've talked about enough. That's how I remember what I remember. But, yeah, let's get into the Eminem dead prank on the kill date for the month. Again, for a person who's new here, the kill date is something you need to know. It's essential Gematria understanding because every month it proves itself. And we've seen a number of these celebrity death hoaxes also come on the kill date, and then we're always pointing out like, okay, this is bigger than just something that some random person started that went viral. This is encoded all the way they would do their typical reported death. Just like how on the day of this death hoax, you got the death of a relatively young NFL athlete, a big, strong man who supposedly just tripped and fell and hit his head and died. I mean, an athletic man knows how to fall, especially one in the NFL. It's not like he's your 98-year-old grandma on 15 different Pfizer pills, so she's hardly there. It's just. And then on that same day, Clarksville is getting wrecked with the tornado. If you haven't seen just to make a long story short, you guys, Frank Wycheck was connected to the Music City Miracle against the Bills, and on the day that the news broke of his death, you had a similar play against the Bills with the tight end Travis Kelce, who's the most famous in the league, who wears 87. But the day of the tight end death, Frank Wycheck, part of the Music City Miracle, his college Maryland's in the Music City Miracle Bowl. How nice. But I did a longer video on this, but just real quick. The position tight end has Gematria of 87 like tornado. And that day, just outside of Nashville, where the Titans play, who he played for, there was a bad tornado in Clarksville on the 87th Meridian West in Montgomery County, when at the beginning of the year, there was a bad tornado in Selma, which is part of the 87-kilometer march to Montgomery with Martin Luther King Jr., and that was at the time of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. But anyhow, 87, and then you go back and you look at the Music City Miracle in history. It happened on his 87th day of his age. Frank Wycheck, who dies all these years later, and then a similar play in the NFL on that day against the same team that Wycheck did against the Bills. But you run it in reverse. Tight end's also 129, and he died on 12/9. And this comes right before the Pope turns 87, and Pope equals 52 like Tennessee, and he's dead at 52. And weather warfare was admitted to on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, 1952. And you have this crazy tornado close by the same day. And that crazy tornado was 44 days before January 22nd, the anniversary of the worst tornado in Clarksville, Tennessee history. And on the border of Kentucky, where they just had a tornado 2 years earlier, December 10th. This was big news, happened the 9th, big on the news on the 10th as well. But, yeah, the Eminem death hoax was the same day. And the 44, again, the reason the kill date, one more time, the reason it's the kill date is because the numerology of that day is 64, 44, and 28. Just like kill is 64, 44, 28. Detroit is one of America's 44 cities, just like Seattle is, and that's why Cornell, who's from Seattle, died in Detroit, another music city, another story to get into. He died the year of the Great American Solar Eclipse. His big song, Black Hole Sun, perfectly synced. Lot to explain. R.I.P. To go back and double check what age he died at. What age did Chris Cornell die at? Hold on. He was 52. I might have overlooked the Pope connection with Chris Cornell. We know what the 201 connection was. Black Hole Sun 201 and Chris Cornell's birthday on the 201st day of the year. Heliocentrism 201. But, remember, they changed Chris Cornell's age of death. Initially, he died on the anniversary of the publishing of Wizard of Oz, and then he first died May 17th, and then like a day later, they changed it to May 18th. Anyway, Detroit is Eminem City. Chris Cornell died there. Seattle lost in a Super Bowl there as well. They say it was the most rigged one ever. The Jerome Bus. Pittsburgh Steelers win, run by the Jesuit Rooney family. Seattle, one of the most Jesuit cities in the nation because there's only 27 Jesuit universities and one of them is in Seattle. Anyway, R.I.P. Eminem went viral, apparently, after the news broke that he died December 9th. He's 51 years old. In Gematria, R.I.P. Eminem equals 51, right? They say he died in Madison, Wisconsin, which is interesting for 3 different reasons in terms of Gematria. Wisconsin, 44, right? Like execution, like kill, like Detroit. So many 44 rituals over the years with both those states. We talked about that earlier with Hank Aaron, number 44, with the connection to both states through the Braves, dying right before the Braves won the World Series. And supposedly just gotten the jab from Pfizer, which is another big fat 44, like military, like warp speed, like it was Operation Warp Speed, the military plan to get out the jab. But Madison, Wisconsin. I'm going to scroll down. We're going to come back. Just for familiar patterns, we talked about how big the 74 was with the death of Tupac, how rappers 74, like Tupac, like Machiavelli, like Killing, like Jesus, like Cross, like Roman. Notice in Madison, Wisconsin has that Gematria 74 as well, right? We've talked about so many hip hop deaths in 74. Biggie, for example, died 74 days from his birthday. So to say that for a hoax to begin that he died in Madison, Wisconsin, again, you can see it's not an accident. Madison alone has the Gematria 75. Again, the Superior General 75 right now. Israel 75. All these 75 things popping off in the world. The day this happened was 75 days. Well, it doesn't matter so much in terms of the Eminem piece, but the weather warfare in Clarksville synced up with Frank Wycheck's death. That was 75 days after the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech, which is September 25th, 1961. Same year Obama was born. Same year he became president. About the future of weather control and how it could be a great thing for humanity to make sure there's no more drought and to just improve quality of life on Earth. Well, everything's a dual-edged sword. I mean, you could use that gun to protect a family, or you could use that gun to murder a family. You know what I mean? That's the problem with technology. If the psychopaths have it, now it's a problem. Before it was a thing of beauty, but now the psychos have it. Now it's very dangerous. So yeah, you got the 44 connection through Wisconsin, the 74 connection through Madison, Wisconsin, and the 75 through Madison. All numbers we're talking about. Israel transitioned from 74 to 75 years old this year, just like the Superior General. Gaza is going to transition to 75 soon. It's been 74. It's been having the Jewish killing ritual while Netanyahu's 74, if you will. And sadly, that's been what it is. And it's just sick to watch and be aware of this. And again, it's not anti-Semitic to say that. I'm not against Jewish people. I'm not against people of Gaza. I'm against the murder of any innocent people for psychopath, cabal, ritual, New World Order domination in the name of the Georgia Guidestones, which they think makes it okay, or however they justify this day after day. But yeah, the other thing that stands out about this is this thing that he supposedly died December 9th. They say it really went viral December 10th. Like, that's how long it took on to take off on the internet to just go crazy that everyone thought Eminem died. And what was going on Sunday? Well, the Grammys did a tribute to the 50th anniversary of hip hop, which passed this summer. And remember, we talked about what Maui burned up the week of the 50th hip hop anniversary. The 808 area code caught on fire. It was named the 808 on 8/8. And it happened between the anniversaries of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, where the 808 drum machine is that hip hop music was built on. The 808 got wasted it was fire, right? And then you got Jay-Z, who did the Hawaiian Sophie music videos because they're the king of hip hop right now. And then you got his wingman who did the 808s album, Kanye West, who became famous from Chicago, just like Obama. Here's what they did, you guys. Look how sick it is. Maui is 64, right? You see how Joe Biden is 64? It's also 44, like I was the wingman of number 44. Barack Hussein Obama is 64. He ran on Hope, which is a 64. So after Maui burned up, while Biden's president, who was the wingman of Obama, who's from Hawaii, who got famous at the same time as Kanye, who recorded his album in Hawaii, Chicago had the Great Chicago Fire, which is blamed on the Jesuits, which is synced with this fire, which we talked about back then. But anyway, Joe Biden waited to show up in Hawaii until 13 days after the fire on August 21st on Hawaii's 64th birthday. You don't think these people are performing rituals right in front of your face? Uppercut to knock your teeth out like your Joe Glass and Punch Out? Come on, man. It's just a mockery. And again, Hawaii was overthrown in history by the Committee of 13. I mean, come on. Joe Biden, 152. Remember how the first President's Day, when he became number 46, fell on the 46th day of the year? 15/2, the 15th of February. People got jokes for days in their rig game. But anyway, coming back to these this tribute, because it's like, why are they doing this right now? That was my question. I'm like, wait a minute, the 50th anniversary was in the summer, so now they're waiting until the death time. I see. They're waiting until the death time of year when everything's dead. All the trees lost all their leaves. It's the time of death. When this cabal made it the new year. It's a big death cult. But I'm like, okay, I see. We know what they like to do with these rappers. There's a reason that they've waited until this time of year. And then I actually looked. It did debut on CBS this Sunday, December 10th, when it was going viral that Eminem was dead online. But if you look, it was actually pre-recorded. It was pre-recorded November 8th. Interesting date, November 8th. Because what day is hip-hop's birthday? August 11th. The two 118 dates. And we know 118 is another number with a long history of death, connecting Tupac and so much more. And Jewish gematria, both death and homicide, are 118. But I didn't see all of it. I probably saw... I'll tell you when I turned it on. I was happy where I turned it on. I don't know what I missed before it. I missed a little bit because I had to go away at times. But where I turned it on is Arrested Development was doing the song Everyday People. And it put a big smile on my face because I always loved that song when I was a kid. And you know, it's funny because maybe even, well, it's probably not as big, but close to as big. Tennessee is their other huge song. And I'm thinking about that with everything going on in Nashville. But they had like every, well, actually they didn't. There were some big names missing there. But just from what I saw in like the last, I saw a lot of people there. I was blown away. I was like, man, they got a lot of people going to this. But as they went through the audience over there, I was like, I'm seeing some faces that aren't here that you'd expect. Where's the Nas's of the world and the Jay-Z's and the Snoop Dogg's and Dr. Dre and Eminem? But man, they got Machine Gun Kelly there. I don't know if Machine Gun Kelly's an actor or if he really was that nervous, but it looked like he was, for the first time in his life, in a room with black people. He looked so scared on the stage when he was up there. I was like, oh my God. He lightened up by the end of it, but the way he started, I was like, he is super uncomfortable, or else this is just like the show. I honestly don't know anything about Machine Gun Kelly other than how they put him in the news with that actress that he's supposedly dating, and they drink each other's blood. I've heard about this. I know he has a beef with Eminem. So when I heard about the Eminem thing, it made me think like, wait a minute, Eminem wasn't there, but this Machine Gun Kelly guy was. So I just had to look. I had to look since it was viral the same day they aired this on CBS. And I said, oh, look at that. Machine Gun Kelly's 33 years old. And then I measured from his birthday, which is Adam Lanza's. And it matters that it's Adam Lanza's birthday because it's the 112th day of the year. And they said he weighed 112 pounds and Sandy Hook equals 112. And they compared it to Doomblame, which happened on a 112 date numerology. And Catholicism equals 112. And the Jesuits claim to work in 112 countries. And they put the same numbers on their puppets. But anyway, it's his 33rd birthday. And look, from his birthday to the day that Eminem supposedly died, December 9th, is 33 weeks, right? But then this goes back to one of my oldest posts. If there's a woman out there, Erica, who still watches, shout out to Erica. I don't know if she does. I lost communication with some people that I still had communication with when I deleted my Facebook, which was around... well, actually, I take it back. I did not delete my Facebook. Facebook deleted my Facebook. But that was just before I got my YouTube channel deleted. But I didn't bring back Facebook for a while after that. And then... Oh, no. I'm losing track of the timeline. I did pause my Facebook for a moment because I was so fed up with it, but then I did bring it back, but then it got officially deleted in 2016. Anyway, somewhere along the way, I lost communication with a woman that I grew up with, and she'd found my work when I started putting it out, and her name was Erica, and she said the thing that won her over is when I showed this about the Grammys back in 2014. Look at this. 2014, you guys, at the Grammys, they married 33 gay couples for the 56th Grammys, right? And there's a million things that you've always been able to point to about 33. But now it looks like it's Grammys related, right? Rumors that Eminem is dead, the white rapper, because the Grammys for all these years has never really acknowledged hip-hop music. Well, in more recent years it has, but for the longest time, hip-hop didn't get any attention, even though it was this huge thing in culture. So they have Machine Gun Kelly there instead of Eminem. It's 33 weeks after his 33rd birthday, and what's buzzing on the web is that Eminem is dead. But there's been many rituals over the years with the Grammys in 33. I just remember the first one I ever documented was when they married 33 gay couples. So Grammys 33, like federal, like police, like masonry, like secrecy, like order. But realize also why the cabal does this. It's good for them to have it buzzing in the world that Eminem's dead the day that they're having this big TV event where they're selling all these commercials and they're into ratings, right? If you're talking about hip hop music, if you're thinking about hip hop music, you're probably going to be more likely to tune in to the CBS, tribute to 50 years of hip hop that's airing on a Sunday, right? And isn't it funny that it was the 56th that they did that at? Don't you get it? But yeah, they wed 33 couples. Wedding has that gematria 33, like gay, like sex. And, Obama, they said he was the most pro gay president there ever was. And again, all these things just all at the same time. But yeah, Jesus on the cross at 33 as well. Madison, Wisconsin, 74, like Jesus, like cross, like rapper. And again, the day that the Eminem headline does become a real one, which probably most of us will live to see in our lifetimes, because a lot of these entertainers don't make it very far, especially in the hip hop world. Eminem's also been just used as this government pawn lately. In case people don't know, you see how Eminem equals 59, like how it's associated with black music. They said Eminem did black music. They said Elvis Presley, who equals 59, did black music, and they even killed Elvis at age 42. Detroit's on the 42nd meridian. Madison also has the 42. That's probably part of the joke with saying it happened to Eminem there. But yeah, you can see these aren't just some accidental spoofs. That's why Newsweek and all the mainstream's covering it. The Eminem death hoax that went viral. But no, it's all part of the game. And, I mean, who's it going to be this year? Who am I going to be talking about this year with the same numbers that actually did die? Remember how many deaths there were last year on New Year's? It's like every time I thought I was done making a video, I had to come back and make another video. Another one dead. Then it's Gangsta Boo. Then it's this drummer and that drummer. And there's a reason that every year, New Year's Eve and New Year's, we're just talking about all these deaths. New Year's is 38 and 43, just like killing is. Death is 38. RIP's 38. Murder's 38. Another number just all over hip-hop deaths and celebrity deaths in general. And then David Icke, guy who never helped get out the word about what we've been teaching about every day for a decade. And I mean, again, a lot of people do not value the work that I do, but I'd say put up my work against anybody in the truthosphere, if you will. People putting out a message to wake up the world, to show what's going on, that there really is an Illuminati and a cabal, and they really are manipulating the world through politics and news and sport and culture and entertainment. They really are mocking us, and they really are doing it by a biblical code. I mean, like, I can make the claim that I have really proven those points. And for anyone who doesn't think I have, again, how come nobody ever steps up to the mic when we got open mic time all the time to debate and say otherwise? And, you got all these people in the truth community. Like, here, I'll give you an example of somebody in the truth community. They haven't been here as long as I have, but they've come up and been around, and they've done good work. And their channel's called The Last American Vagabond. And most of their research is really great. I think it's fine to follow them and get their information. But that guy, anytime he brings up my work, he talks about like it's this stupid, irrelevant shit. And it's just like, okay, is he really that close-minded to just like understanding the occult stuff? Or is he just a guy here that gives people good information that never leads them to anywhere new other than Rothschilds and bankers? Because I mean, that's the problem with his work. It's just like everybody else. Like, okay, guy thinks it's Zionist bankers that run the world. Okay, you can think that all you want. It's not who runs the world. You got to think about who allows those Zionist bankers to continue to be the front, the Rothschilds, which means red shield, which is the Templar shield, which is why the Templar cross in the Jesuit logo. But yeah, David Icke. Look at his daughter's name, Carrie Icke, right? Isn't it interesting that just forwards and backwards is the same as conspiracy? And we've shown this before, just the stereotypical form for anyone who's into conspiracies, tinfoil hat. And you can realize it's not an accident. It was all part of the Gematria spell they put on humanity through the spells and spelling, where everyone's programmed to respond to the same things. Now, I will say that it could be a coincidence that Carrie Icke equals conspiracy. I'm not hinging anything really on that. But I did find it interesting when I noticed that. I just thought, it's interesting. But what stood out to me right away was just the age of death, 48. And again, I talked about this earlier, but the two biggest names in the world of conspiracy, living and breathing right now, are David Icke and Alex Jones. And Alex Jones is Mr. 48, whose claim to fame is his 9/11 prediction, which he copied from Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper predicted 9/11 and bin Laden on June 28th, 2001. Alex Jones predicted 9/11 on July 25th. So almost a full month later. And June 28th is Elon Musk's birthday. It's the day that my channel got deleted for the first time back in 2017, the year Trump took over, when Trump said he was gonna censor people who spoke against him. I mean, Trump openly said that. I was probably one of the biggest critics, spamming the most videos, if you will, about what a puppet Trump was. Next thing you know, I'm busting on his wingman's birthday, Elon Musk. Whole channel's down. Just years and years of hard work. I think there were like 5,700 and some videos at the time when the channel was deleted. Some of those videos 2 hours long, just tons of work, just gone. Boom. Documentation, proofs, everything. Just poof. Gone. And really, again, a lot of people thought the crime that year was nailing the Vegas prediction, because we had it circled for why crazy shit was going to happen that weekend, probably on the biggest scale we'd seen since 9/11, which was right, because they said 500 and some people shot in the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting. But we had it all figured out from understanding this knowledge, and we kept talking about it all year, why it was going to go down at that time, right after Yom Kippur. It all made too much sense. And then it happened. But we were deleted June 28th, even before it happened, so all the predictions and videos were just scrubbed. And then every time I tried to make a new channel, all gone. But anyway, Alex Jones, like I said, in 2018, when he got deleted about a year after most of us did, I showed how it was a perfect ritual by the numbers, why they got rid of Mr. Conspiracy on the 218th day of the year. Again, look at the day they got rid of August 6th is the day that the bans began for Alex Jones. Facebook was the first to ban him August 6th, 2018. The 218th day of the year, leaving 147 days remaining. Remember, conspiracy theory equals 218. Conspiracy alone's 147. So, I mean, you can't have a more perfect day to 86, the conspiracy guy, than August 6th, the anniversary of Hiroshima. And yeah, if you missed what I did this weekend on his return with Elon Musk on Twitter, I mean, check it out. But 48 is a big point. Again, his claim to fame, calling 9/11 48 days before it happened, July 25th to September 11th, 48 days. Alex Jones is 48, so is InfoWars. You see how Alex Jones is also 138, like Carrie Ike? And the 138 something too. We Are 138 by the Misfits. Donald Trump's 138. Federal's 138. A Million Rituals with Trump and 138. And Alex Jones. Again, it's so many things to go back over, but we've been talking about it forever. David Icke comes out and says she died from a long illness, which equals 138 and 48. David Icke, who speaks against the Illuminati, 48. Again, in Gematria, all these things equal 48. Alex Jones, InfoWars, World War, Freemason, Illuminati, propaganda, false flag. And again, think of the 48 laws of power. I noticed that from the Illuminati's establishment anniversary, May 1st, just in light of her name equaling 51, Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati, his name also equals 51. Again, established it May 1st. Adam Weishaupt, the Jewish man who was Jesuit trained. From May 1st to December 11th, 32 weeks. 32 weeks. When the news of the death, when David Icke posts about it, 32 weeks later, David's 32, 32 special. 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite. You're up there. 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo. 32 points on a compass. Another special number. The word America is 32. 7/4/1776. 32 date numerology. Again, America. Speaking English. Founded by a bunch of Masons, where modern Freemasonry was created in 1717 in London. Where David Icke got his big breaks in sports, in news, before he was the world's leading conspiracy theorist, anti-Semite. And again, I mean, part of the reason that the conspiracy community is so targeted for everyone the same thing, Zionist Jews, bankers, Rothschilds, a lot of that is the legacy of the David Ickes of the world. And it's not to say that they're all wrong. It's just so one-sided. And it's like, if there's a pie to this, they're only giving you a part of the pie. It might be a big part of the pie, but it's not more than half. And you're missing a big part of the picture if all you think it is are Zionist banksters, and that's all you ever say, like almost everybody in this community, including the guy who I just brought up, the last American vagabond. You know, good researcher, good videos. Agree with a lot of stuff he puts out, but I just know that he talks shit about my work and acts like it's irrelevant. And it's just like, God, I mean, I know people are closed minded and just like really shut off to Occult, but I don't know. I feel like in every video that I lay out, if you just had stayed for 2 minutes and listened, you might have gone like, okay, maybe I need to look a little more into that. Especially when I put out content every day for over a decade, just like this. And then go back and looking at my 2014 work, I'm like, yeah, my work actually was good back then. I knew a lot less, but I was really lining it up. And as time's gone on, the things I was saying is they just mounted. So Biden today, his remarks come 52 days challenging Netanyahu, 52 days after Netanyahu's birthday. And I want to make a point about this number 52. First, we'll start with the authority part. Authorities 52, like government, like White House, like president. Again, you think of authority. Pope is 52, the 52-week calendar named after the Pope. So you have these numbers connected to authority. Of course, in terms of games, like how a game's being played with our life by this code, 52 cards in the deck. But here's some other words that are 52. Gematria is 52. Kabbalah is 52. Tree of Life is 52. Etz HaChaim, which is the Jewish spelling for Tree of Life, is 52. And you might have noticed how they were both also 56, that special number. You might also notice the 119. You might also notice the 178 like Kabbalah, like the Georgia Guidestones put up on 322, how they came down on the day, leaving 178 days left in the year. Like how the Cabbal's plan was taken down by a code that pays tribute. I kept saying that kept saying that the Georgia Guidestones came down on the 202nd day of the Pope's age and on Skull and Bones member George W. Bush's birthday, which is true. But you could also say that it came down 201 days after the Pope's birthday instead of his 202nd day of his age, where again, Order of Illuminati is 201, like the Jesuit order, like he's the first Jesuit pope. He's the first Jesuit pope and the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, which even has a name called the Domus Sanctae Martyr. And again, for anyone who doubts any of these things, you just look it up. You just look it up and tell me if I'm making it up. That he's the first Jesuit pope to live in Suite 201 at the Domus Sanctae Martyr. Look up if that building that he lives in used to be a hospital named after Pope Leo, who died on the 201st day of the year. Look that up too. Tell me if that's an accident. So, but while you're at it, look up if it's an accident that Beau Biden died on the 150th day of the year. Illuminati's also 150, like they say. There's 150 million kilometers on average between the Earth and the Sun. But Beau Biden died on the 150th day of the year, 201 days before Pope Francis' birthday, May 30th, 2015. Again, he was 72 years old, Biden, when his son died at age 46, like he became number 46. Jesuit order 72. And look up if he lost his wife and daughter in 72 in a car crash on Limestone Road, which is 201, and 150 like Illuminati, and 75 like where we are right now when he's the president. Woo, man, it's bad. You tell me if any of that's a coincidence. Oh, yeah, and one more thing. Do you tell me if it's a coincidence that a Jesuit priest, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, like Last American Vagabond, if you're out there, tell me it's a coincidence, too, that Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, the Jesuit priest, former head of Georgetown. He was also the 42nd president of Georgetown, no less, when Georgetown's 42, like Jesuit. But tell me if you think it's an accident that, again, he did the funeral for Beau Biden, who died 201 days before the Pope, and the inauguration for Joe Biden on January 20th, 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age, when D.C.'s always been the Jesuit stronghold, and the Capitol didn't used to be there, and Inauguration Day didn't used to be January 20th. And again, look at the government website and tell me what they call January 20th for the inauguration. They call it inauguration. This is right on the government website. Inauguration of the president. Oh, shit. I'm having a brain lapse right now. Inauguration of the president of the United States. That's what they call it. 201. And then you can look up the CIA being founded on the 201st day of the Pope's age, September 18th, 47, and how the words in their logo, United States of America, Central Intelligence Agency, you can see how they equal 201, just like how the CIA's motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence, equals 201. The work of a nation, the center of intelligence, 201. Look it up. CIA motto. Tell me I'm tripping. Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, 201. Tell me you didn't grow up on Jack Ryan, the Jesuit-educated CIA agent that Amazon, Jesuit-controlled Amazon, is now remaking shows about. This stuff's always been in your face your whole life. You just didn't realize. You just didn't add it up. Some smart guy came through my comment section the other day. He's like, I bet you don't even know how to multiply or divide. All you can do is add. It's just like, oh, yeah. How much do you want to bet? I've been looking to fend this movement. Maybe I finally found the right guy. How much you want to put on the table? You want to bet that I can't multiply and divide? Let's do it. Call in tomorrow night on TFR. We'll do it live on the air. Finally going to finance this thing. But yeah, in case you got here late again, Zelensky back in town begging for money. Did he have a sweatshirt on again today? I love how every time they dress him up in a sweatshirt. They're so poor over there. They don't have suits. Send them more billions. He's wearing his Trident sweatshirt again. You know about the Trident on the World Trade Center design and why it was designed by the city by the sea, Seattle? That now has the Kraken, the monster from the ocean. When, PBS did a documentary back in 2010 about how we couldn't see in our lifetime Seattle wrecked by maybe the worst earthquake to ever hit a modern-day city. Now we got the Seattle Kraken. But yeah, Zelensky's in town begging on the 322nd day of the year. So what else is new? In the 202 area code, D.C. And let's not forget, he's there to beg number 46. Also, 322 days is 46 weeks. Kind of like how George W. Bush, born in 46, along with Trump and along with Clinton. And Clinton and Bush both went to Yale. Clinton might have also been in Skull and Bones. Yeah. But no, they're not doing anything with numbers. It's just a coincidence that in D.C. on the Masonic Temple, it's etched all his number. It's just crackpot theories. Just you can connect anything to anything if you want to. I mean, if you really put your mind to it, I mean, you can make anything connect to 322. Like, can you? I mean, is that true? Can I make anything connect to 322? I don't know how you can make anything connect to anything. I know you can make a guy show up in town on his 322nd day of his age in Skull and Bones land to beg for more money when they're the Illuminati, and the Illuminati's got their symbolism all over the dollar bills. And it's the Cabal and Kabbalah code every day. I can get that, but I can't do it every day. I mean, it's only coming up. I mean, you could argue for 322 days after the birthday, 322nd day of the age, because that's the way they do it, but that's 2 out of 365 in a non-leap year. It's close to 1 in 200, and it's close to 0.5%. It's not like it's high odds. I feel like if I say, oh, yeah, you got 0.5% odds, you can probably win every single time. Yeah, 0.5% odds, I'd bet your house you can win every time. You guys see what I'm saying? It's kind of like making the same statement. It's like the stuff I'm showing is like improbable. But they're going, oh, yeah, you can just do it every time. Okay, 0.5% odds. Hey, go put your whole life. Hey, Russian roulette. You got 0.5% odds to live. Here's the gun. You can probably live every time. 0.5% odds. Try it out. See how it goes. I feel like everybody who comes here and leaves that comment, which has probably been a million people, probably more people than actually appreciated the work over the years. I feel like that should be the consequence. Okay, here's another thing with improbable odds. A revolver with 6 bullets in it. You have to spin it and then shoot. Of course, yeah, it's full in all 6 slots. Some revolvers only have 5, but we'll do one with 6. The chance of you living is that the gun jams. So here, good luck. It's about 0.5% too. Oh, yeah. I just this line from my original post. When all this 2013 stuff was going on, all this 2013 business with all these different books and shows and politicians and Janet Napolitano all talking about, some big blackout event coming. The reason I circled the Carolinas, because a lot of the fiction that came out in that time, the show on NBC, some of the books that were written, God, who was it? Newt Gingrich had one. But it was set in this area of the country. And they say this is the area of the country where we got free from the British. This is where the battle was really won that really finished the British. So it's like, maybe that'd be symbolic to like let America know that it's finished. Just do it in the same spot that they supposedly got free. That was a thought back in 2013. Okay. Yeah, I think we hit everything I meant to hit and more. Got into Agenda 2030. UN votes to demand immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Oh, this time the U.S. didn't. So remember before the U.S. vetoed. If you got, I don't think I covered that. I think I forgot to cover the U.S. veto. Hold on. Let me put this up here real quick. I just want you to see these rituals they do, you guys. Okay, this was the same day the Obama movie came out on Netflix. Hamas condemns U.S. veto of UN. See, that's happened to me before. Like I meant to cover something, and then I heard about something even crazier, and then I forgot to cover the thing I meant to cover. So much to keep up with. It's probably happened 5,000 times over the years. But Hamas condemns U.S. veto of UN ceasefire vote. Look at this. December 8th, 2023 was 62 days after the war began on October 7th. 24 days to the end of October, 30 through November, plus 8 in December. That's 24 plus 30, which is 54, plus 8, which is 62. So 62 days after the war began, the big story is the veto, you know. And then 62 also relates to the Torah, which the Abrahamic religions are based in, which are divided over Israel. So, 153 nations. Oh, man, right after Elon Musk was there on his 153rd day of his age. Remember, Holy Bible equals 153, like Jesuit order, like the Illuminati, like the miraculous catch of 153 fish. So it says 153 nations voted for the ceasefire resolution in a rebuke to the U.S., which last week blocked a similar Security Council resolution. So isn't it funny how Biden's on the world stage saying, like, oh, you got to back off on Hamas, but at the same time, he's essentially the guy who cast the vote to it was his nation that vetoed it and kept it going. Again, that's why it's just all a big show. By the way, congrats to the winners last night on Tommy DeVito. Again, it's people can't fathom it, but it's all synced up with the actor Danny DeVito. We called the Giants the 25 team. I've told you guys about this for free. I said if you just wanted to bet the rest of your life, you might want to wait for Giants 25 rituals. Another big one last night with the Packers' 25th all-time loss on the road on a Monday in New York on Danny DeVito's 25th day of his age. Of course, Tommy DeVito's 25 years old. He's already smashed some big 25 upsets for us. He's our biggest moneymaker since he came into the NFL, old Tommy DeVito. But literally, if you look it up, the last time the Packers lost in New York City, look it up, the last time they lost in New York City before last night, on Danny DeVito's birthday, November 17th, 2013, 10 years ago. And Danny DeVito from New Jersey, where the Giants play and the Jets. They play over in East Rutherford in the 201 area code. Aaron Charles Rodgers, 201 with the big script on 9/11 with the fake injury. When two towers became zero before they became one because of that day in history. Goes over to New York at the same age as Brett Favre, 39, the New York number. The United Nations in New York, 39 floors tall. But anyway, 153 votes. Man. Let me see the way the other networks cover it. Fox. Oh, yeah. Mike Johnson equals 56, like Washington, D.C. is the 56th Speaker of House. Oh, an additional 200 million for old Zelensky. I want to show up to the White House in a sweatshirt and get $200 million. I know I could fund this movement for the rest of my life to the max. Well, I mean, not to the max, but think about how big you could do it for $200 million if you were smart with your investment. You could have a massive team of employees for a long period of time. Good vehicle. Oh my God. And that's hardly anything. We're giving them way more than 200 million. Chump change compared to what we've given them in the past, but just endless money for this shit that is totally un-American. I thought we want to be the freest, safest nation. We better get the word out about what I'm talking about right now, because we are less safe and less free day by day with more taxation without representation. Of course, our government is nothing but Illuminati cabal, and I don't know how people can't see through it. Too infatuated with that Hollywood. I'm surprised that Fox News isn't all over that yet. They will get to it later. They're going to hate it. They don't know how to respond at this moment. Oh my God. They're going to be irate. Biden says aid standoff is Christmas gift for Putin. How nice. A Christmas gift from the Go-Yums. You know what I mean? Go to 11-11, eat up some of those Go Yum products. The Go Yum sending it over to Israel for Christmas. Beautiful. Only CNN rocking with this as the top headline. Wow. Surprised more people aren't on that yet. This must have just broke. CNN, the world leader. I like how they get Hollywood actors to do their ads. Get guys with good voices. I've had a few different actors over the years. How CNN, the most trusted name in news, world leader. Who? Who trusts you, man? There must be some really stupid people in this world if you're trusted by anybody. But yeah, all I'm here to do is report the numbers. The Illuminati 153. Again, Jesuit Order 153. Holy Bible 153. Whoops, that's the whole Bible. It is full of holes. Holy Bible 153. Maybe that's part of the joke. It's holy. Here, we chose what pieces we wanted for you. Go Yums. Holy Bible. Give it to him. I like it in the new language. Some pope, he loved holy cheese. He's like, yeah, we're going to give him a holy religion. Going to have them all confused. Holes all over the place. You're doing what the Holy Bible says if you hate the brown people right now. Trust me, hate the brown people. Those white Jews over there, they are the chosen ones. Holy Bible. Put your hand on the Holy Bible and say you believe. Look at this black anti-Semitic woman right here that keep putting in the news every day. These people must just, they must have so many maids to change their sheets as much as they must be pissing from laughing. These fuckers. Look at this black anti-Semitic woman. Has anyone ever looked up the definition of anti-Semitic? It's like, damn, we get a really cut off definition of anti-Semitic. It's like all the people in the Middle East, but we only think of it in terms of the ones that live in Israel. It's like, wait a minute, it's anti-Semitic to support those brown people on the Gaza side? I don't think so. I'm reading the definition right here. It's them too. What is this? How dare you support those brown people, brown woman? You will be punished. Didn't you watch our Netflix joke with the black ship, the big black long ship with the breaking water just all over the place, gush, gush, squirter. The black ship with white lion, you know, with the black oil. Oh my God. I'm done, you guys. Hold on, I'm not done. I gotta see this. The most transparent. Like, why is it so hard to release the? Like, is it? I guess to maintain stock prices, it all has to be based in secrecy. But there is no conspiracies. There is no secrecy. Why can't they release their true viewership data? The truest yet to date. What does that even mean? The most transparency. And a major step in transparency, Netflix for the first time released on Tuesday a report of what people watched on the streaming service during a 6-month period. The report, titled What We Watched, a Netflix engagement report, is set to be published twice a year going forward, the company said in a memo. The report measures the hours viewed for every title, the premiere date, and whether the title was available globally. The report only included titles that had more than 50,000 hours viewed. All right, so it says the report covers 18,000 titles measuring views from January to June of 2023. The Night Agent, pretty sure that's like about a FBI guy. Ginny in Georgia, I'm not sure about that one. The Glory, I don't know. Wednesday, everybody, remember what they did to the Wednesday actress? Man, that's why it's just so sick, you guys. I bet most people don't even know. They know about the show and they watch the new show, but they don't even know what happened to the original actress. Lisa Loring at 64. Look at it. Lisa Loring, the original Wednesday. Her name in Gematria is 64. We talked about how Kill's 64, how Matthew Perry's 64, how he died on the day, leaving 64 days left in the year. The original Addams Family came out in 64. Came out on September 18th, same day they planted the special day, September 18th. Again, the cornerstone laid for D.C. The CIA established that day. Big day in history. The National Security Act was September 18th. CIA, a lot of things came out of it. It ran for 64 episodes, right? I mean, they're just letting you know if you look into it. That's not an accident that she dies right after the new show comes out. At 64. I mean, this is obvious. And this show, like, you know, it has to do with the occult and witchcraft. And From the day the Netflix debuted, which was the day leaving 38 days left near a number of death, to her death on January 28th, 66 days. The new actress for Wednesday, her surname is Ortega, which is 66. The word woman is 66. So it's family, Netflix series. It was also a span of 67 days. Blood sacrifice and human sacrifice is 67. Like satanic, another pattern we talk about a lot. And Jenna Ortega's got that Jesuit birthday, September 27th. We're talking about that with Obama and the last day Agenda 2030. But Jenny Ortega was 44 years younger than the first Wednesday. And where Kill is 64, it's also 44. Wednesday is also 44. He's had that UNLV mass shooting on a Wednesday. Last year it was Michigan State on the 44th day of the year. A lot of shootings with 44 as well. Shooting equals 44, like gunfire, like mass shooter, like military, like how almost every time it is former military. Wednesday under the umbrella. Again, umbrellas can mean a lot of things, but they are symbols used by the Jesuits. 64 spaces on the chessboard. The Illuminati, founded by the Jesuits 64 days before July 4th, 1776. All right. Yeah, we were talking about the Netflix data. That's how we got on that. Queen Charlotte. Interesting. Probably fits in with the whole King Charles thing right now. Carolinas. Yeah, I'd like to see the longer reported data, see what more people are watching. Looks like shows are popular, which makes sense, right? Because I guess there's tons of hours in the thing, so if you watch the whole thing. What is that number, though? So 812 million and 100,000 hours spent watching The Night Agent. I wonder what it is for Gematria content over the last decade. Ooh, it's probably such a small number, it just make you cry. Ooh, boy. Okay. Thank you to everyone who does take the time to share the work, though. It's too bad the word's not out there because we really could change the world if enough people knew what was up. Uh-oh. Big Bang star got cancer. Well, she can just fly out to Seattle like all the other wealthy people do and get it taken care of. If you got big money, there are treatments for cancer. Sometimes I'm saying, where's the cancer research going to? Because everyone's just dying, going through the same radiation treatments. Sometimes I should hold my tongue because, as I learned, Seattle has some of the leading places in cancer research, and people with big bucks go out there and get super expensive treatments and do get their cancer taken care of. So that's why anytime I see these Hollywood people dying from cancer, I'm like, well, I've heard some crazy stories. Just when I drove for Uber and Lyft, that's a common destination if you drive for Uber and Lyft in Seattle. Just pick up people from those cancer facilities because all kinds of people are flying in nonstop to get these cutting edge treatments there. And yeah, brain cancer and everything. I heard some people tell me some interesting stories. So when I see these celebrities dying from cancer left and right, I'm like, well, why aren't they just doing what everybody else is in Seattle? I know these people got that kind of money too. Something ain't adding up. Something isn't making sense. And based on how much money the public's put into cancer, don't they deserve these treatments too at a lot lower rate? I mean, all the money in. I mean, how much money do these companies have to make? I thought, the decades and decades of people just churning in money by the tens of millions from the slave taxed populace, enslaved and taxed populace, just the additional money for cancer research. A lot of money's coming from the public for that. I feel like more people deserve access to these cutting edge treatments. Doesn't seem like it needs to be so expensive. But the cabal, again, they wanted to keep things expensive because they don't want people to live. They got depopulation plans, man. All right, well, things are going to get interesting here. This comes on a Tuesday too, right? This comes on a Tuesday, this thing, because Tuesday is named after Mars, the god of war. So they're saying no more warring over there, Israel. You need to stop. But Israel's known for not obeying the United Nations. They're the biggest Geneva Convention violators in the history of the world. I just want to check real quick, since it's a Tuesday, how far it is from the election. 47 weeks to the upcoming election. How about that? Always time for a what is 47. You're new here. If you go back and look at when I was typing in 52, look at the other way for everything. Everything that wasn't 52 was 47. They're big authority time numbers. Israel drawn up in 47. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. There's a lot more to do on my end, but hold up. We got some generous people today. I see that it says 10 super chatters. Let's say thank you to all of them. Logan Thomas with the big 5. Thank you again, Logan. He says undeniable work. Hey, I wish more people felt the way you felt about the work, Logan. Thank you. John Mendoza, always with the generous $1. Appreciate it, John. And he came with another 2. He said, thank you, Zach. Peace out, Truth Seekers. Appreciate it ×3, John. Thank you, Nicholas Wilkerson, also constantly generous. Don't forget about the 1996 Western North American blackouts. What? Western North America blackouts. I don't remember that, living on the West Coast. I feel like I would remember that. I was 13. I remember when they started doing those controlled power outages in California, the rolling blackouts. It's a little bit later. The 1996 Western North American blackouts were 2 widespread power outages that occurred across Western Canada, Western United States, and Northwest Mexico. I think we were spared from this. I was in Portland area at the time. It happened on July 2nd. Oh, interesting date, July 2nd. Jesuit Order 72. They code that 72 on that simulation they keep doing with the cyber attacks also. And August 10th, we know where that connects with the whole geometry thing. It's the 222nd day of the year, Order Out of Chaos, 222. If you haven't read my book, Number Games, got to know about 222 from 9/11 to coronavirus. Important things that people should know. Might open some eyeballs. 6 weeks apart. So they were 42 days apart, right? 6 weeks is 42 days. Let's go back and measure if that's exactly what it was. July 2nd, 1996. I just thought about one more thing that matters about the end date. They're actually 5 weeks and 4 days. So it was in the 6th week. 39 is an interesting number. Federal, secrecy, masonry, they all have the 39. It's a biblical number. 39 books in the Old Testament. The span of days would be 40, which is United States, but this was beyond the United States. It was in Canada and Mexico. It ended on the day leaving 143 days left in the year. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 143. Freemason equals 96, the year it happened in. Masonry 39, 39 days later. Oh, you know what else is 39? Canada is 39, and I know Mexico's 33. Let me see if Mexico has the 39 connection. Can't remember if Mexico does. Canada is 39, just like masonry, like secrecy, like federal. But Mexico, yeah, Mexico's not. Mexico's got the 33, though, like masonry. So British Columbia, so north of Seattle. I don't know. I don't remember any of these blackouts. Maybe I was just outside dribbling basketballs around the whole time because I didn't even like sitting in front of the TV. I was usually outside. But I do not remember this. I do not recall. I'll look more into that. That's interesting. Oh, by the way, you guys, I always forget to... I got to do a bigger thing on the end of the Jesuit suppression. Just for the record, it ended in the time of James Madison, the Jesuit suppression, when he was president. See some numbers there with James Madison, the father of the Constitution. Okay, but interesting. There's been some interesting blackouts in history, especially in the Northeast, that we've definitely talked about a few times. Power outage 24 days before Tupac dies. Kobe in Hawaii for preseason training camp for... Nicholas Wilkerson was expanding on it because Tupac died in 96. And of course, Kobe, he made his NBA debut November 3rd, 96, and we know why on 113 in the 113 league where Kobe Bryant was Mr. 113. But yeah, that's interesting. 24 days before Tupac dies. Now Tupac, they're catching his killer, which is in Vegas, where the Super Bowl is. All this predictive programming, 2024 coming up. Kobe wasn't a wife for his preseason training camp his first year. I did not know that. Good research. Interesting. Christmas Day this year has 44 and 17. You must mean the date numerology. I'm envisioning that. Yeah, the life lesson number would be 44. The small way 17. You're right. Yeah, I know. What a way. If they attack the world at the time of Christmas, and there's so many, all the days around Christmas, there's just so many spiritual, rituals that take place this time of year, and just it's the way the cabal likes to be, as evil as possible. Doing the clip-off some justice, I suppose they'd say. Thank you, Laura, for becoming a YouTube member. Shout out to Ava Moon, who became a YouTube member. I appreciate it. I really think that that's the reason that this channel is getting... Remember, I could not keep a channel up until I finally monetized my channel. I'd never monetized a channel from 2013 until the end of 2018. And the reason I did it is because I just kept getting my channels deleted. I was like, well, maybe if I allow them to put ads on my channel. And that's annoying too. You always get these notifications that your video is not suitable for ads, but then there's ads all over the video and you're not getting paid for them. But at the same time, the trade-off is it seems like the videos stay up for a lot longer and the channels stay up for a lot longer, because even though I've had a whole bunch of channels deleted, we've been able to stay up for longer than weeks, which is what was going on at the time before we finally monetized. And it was funny. The woman who told me I should do that, she used to be like so loyal and around all the time. I haven't heard from her for years. Like, I hope she's okay. And the more I think about it, I don't feel like we've heard from her from 2020. I hope she didn't do something crazy and get jabbed. But man, some of you guys might know who I'm talking about. She had a nice Southern accent. She called all the time to TFR. We haven't heard from her from years. If you're out there, you got to call us back. These people who used to be around, who left it, sometimes it's like, I felt like you guys were the family and now you're just gone. But anyway, I hope she's doing all right. That gentleman who called in last week to TFR, we hadn't heard from him from years. I'm glad he's okay. He's the only guy who ever carved what is 47 into his truck, literally carved it into the paint. It was an old pickup truck. I was like, wow, that's hardcore. You're the first guy to do that in the world. He's still out there. I'm glad to know it. And by the way, call in again this Wednesday. I feel so bad, you guys, because I told him last week on the show that I was going to call him the next day and give him a book. And what I do is I take a screenshot, because I can see people's numbers when they call into the call-in board. So I took a screenshot of his thing, and then I've done it before. I accidentally end up deleting the screenshot with the rest of the screenshots that are saved, because I try to clear it out each day. And I cannot find the screenshot I took. I was trying to go back through the trash and undelete, and it's just, I deleted too many. Anyway, if you're out there, call me back, because I do got to send that guy a book, and now I lost his number. But anyway, I'm glad he's out there. In the late 2000s, Jamie Foxx had a radio show on Sirius Channel 106 and 149. Go figure. Back in the day, too, Opie and Anthony was on Channel 202, The Virus. Okay, I've never seen Opie and Anthony, but I get the Jamie Foxx thing. And remember, Jamie Foxx, the way he spells it, equals 107, and then he broke the silence on his absence the day They Cloned Tyrone came out, and he's in Hotel Room 107, like his name, Gematria. And then again, if you haven't seen They Cloned Tyrone, it's about how the church has a secret government lab underneath that's terrorizing the black community. It's a messed up movie. And they code 44 all over the place as they tell you how they're destroying the black community with music and food and beverage. It's messed up, man. And shout out to James, always with the GematriaEffectNews gift memberships. I appreciate it. So thank you. I got to address this comment right here from Babs and the Wrecking Crew. They say, I'm sorry I don't share the work because I don't have access to anyone intelligent enough to even understand the significance of it. I get the comment, but I say, just share it anyway. How else are they going to get intelligent? Or is it because you get annoyed because then they start talking shit to you? I mean, what I always say though is like if you say you have like 200 people on your social media page and you share something, right? And you see that it gets no response, like there's not a single like, there's not one reply. It doesn't mean that nobody looked at it, and it doesn't mean that it didn't have a positive impact. There might have been 5 people who looked at it and were like, "Whoa." But then they didn't have the balls to be the first like, because they know, because they live in this society. And that's part of the reason that the herd sticks together. They know like what to do as the herd. Like the herd doesn't question government and news. That's conspiracy theory stuff. We don't do that. We just go, follow the rules, and we get our Pfizer and put our bandage on. I mean, I got some shots before. I just hope for the best. I mean, that's how a lot of people are. They just don't want to think about things. They just want to go along with the flow. Get back and watch, what was it? The Night Agent. I gotta get through the grind so I can watch The Night Agent. So yeah, that's I think everybody should still share, because it's just like that Erica girl. I mean, like, she found my work. We used to be classmates, and apparently she was paying attention but didn't say anything until I documented the 33 gay people married at the Grammys. That like blew her mind. She's like, "Oh, maybe there is something going on." Oh yeah, there's definitely something going on. So yeah, and then this comment right here speaks to the person who needs to see every prediction be 100% correct or they're out. And again, I mean, that's just an idiotic mindset too. That's some other kind of cognitive dissonance, ego bullshit. Like, again, even though, for example, like my trolls and haters are loving my NFL season because it's the most mediocre it's ever been. But at the same time, there's been a number of days where a number of people in the community, based on the knowledge and the picks, multiplied like a $10 bill into $400 or a 20 into 800. There hasn't been as many of those days this season as there has been in seasons past, because things are becoming more challenging. But if you do the math, like what I teach people to do with the knowledge is, have a $5 budget for gambling for the day. And with your $5, the strategy is like this. You're going to play $5 and you're going to try to multiply it into $40 or $50 or $100 or $200. You're going to try to multiply it by making smart picks based on consistent patterns. You won't hit it every day, but if you're consistent with the knowledge and you don't chase your losses, you'll hit enough that you're constantly building up a surplus, and then you're eventually playing with house money. And again, there's a ton of people in this community who've played with that mindset over the years, and they've built up a lot of house money. So again, I mean, if you're looking at our NFL season as we're betting on Thursday, we're betting on Sunday, we're betting on Monday. So in an NFL week, there's 3 days where you're putting out $5. So you might be putting out $15 a week in gambling. And some guys do bet a lot more. But again, I always encourage, especially if you're new, to stick dollar parlays, $5 max, and just get good with the knowledge. And once you start realizing that, okay, I'm locked into these patterns. I know about Atlanta in 15. I know about the Giants in 25. You'll win when these patterns come around. The Giants with Tommy DeVito have been paying us big bucks. But again, so we're through NFL Week 14 now, right? The NFL Week 14 concluded last night. We had a very nice Thursday in NFL Week 14. We had a very nice Monday. And if you played it safe on Sunday, you might have had a nice Sunday too. You might have just gone with the Bucks as underdogs, getting Mayfield's 15th road win in Atlanta, where 15 plays almost every time in Atlanta. The week before that, the Jets coach stayed on 15 wins versus Atlanta. We call Atlanta the 15 city because it has 2 connections to 15. But anyway, Sunday, I was 50-50. It wasn't a good day, and I knew it was going to be a tough day because it just a lot of the games seemed double-coded. But here's the point I'm going to make. Let's say that you've played a $5 bill all 42 times, Thursday night football, Sunday games, Monday games. You've played a $5 bill 42 times. That means you've put out $210 in bets so far this season. You've bet $210. And for an average adult, and like I tell people, if you miss on your bet, you know what? Skip your coffee. Don't go to the fast food place. Make your food at home. You'll have your money right back, plus some. You'll have gained in your net worth by just not eating out and making your own food, which is probably healthier. So again, when I'm teaching people to gamble and use this knowledge, I'm also teaching them how to be smart people and not abusive and have fun with it, not turn your hair gray. And of course, people who've made good money over the years, they have started betting more than $5, but they're playing with house money. Again, the point is, you would have put $210 out there. Now, there's been plenty of nights this year, even like like Big Al, who's a long-time winner. He's been out of a pretty bad year, but he's hit on some nice ones lately. Most people are back in plus territory for the year because if out of your 42 bets, if you'd only hit on 7 of them this year, but on those ones that you hit, they paid an average of your $5 bill turned into 50. You've made $350. And in those 7 where it hit, you also got your 35 back. So you have you have $385, and then 210 minus 35. What is that? You've given out 175. So you've made a net profit in a big way. You've done well. And again, pretty much everything in this life's gambling. The stock market's gambling. Hey, if you took my stock, I only did the stock market group for a little bit at the beginning of the year because I got annoyed by how few people were participating. I was like, God, people care so much more about sports gambling than learning about the market. But hey, you got a value in the gambling knowledge or the market knowledge that we put out at the beginning of the year. I said Apple would have a great year. They did. Apple 23 blue chip stock in 23. You just knew Apple was going to have a promising 23. I said, I suspect Apple does a lot better than the average market. And of course, there have been better things than Apple this year. But yeah, we document a lot of neat things in the 3 months we were covering the market. And again, you can just see how this knowledge is used from everything, from the rigging of the sports game. Like last night, we thought the Titans had a real shot to beat the Dolphins. A lot of people won big last night on the Titans, upsetting the Dolphins after the death of Frank Wycheck. And again, I'm not saying this is the best way to use the knowledge, but we all got to pay the bills. And again, rather than getting used and abused by the system, I'm teaching people how to realize what the system is and take advantage of it. I mean, if you think that's a bad thing, then I think you're an illogical person. Do I think it's the most moral thing to gamble on the Titans after Frank Wycheck's death because you know they have a good chance to win as a huge payout? Maybe that isn't the most ethical and moral thing, but you're not doing it in like some demonic way. You didn't kill him. You're just saying, God, this is the sick world I live in, and this is the games they're playing, and I got to pay bills. Some of you guys try to come at me like, oh, yeah, Zach's teaching people to take advantage of Dick Butkus' death to make money. It's like, no, that's not really the lesson. I mean, sadly, that you learn what's going on. You see how you can use the knowledge in that way. But again, just people, it's crazy how people want to attack for what I've been doing for over a decade. It's pathetic, really. And I know a lot of people that attack are no good in trying to protect the interests of the things we're exposing. But yeah, again, you learn the knowledge we're putting out. You should not be a loser in the world of sports gambling. And anyone who tells you that Zach's putting out losing information, that person's a troll. Just like the same ones that hang around every day and harass the community and pay for my Patreon because it's so inexpensively priced, so it makes it so trolls can hang out there and harass all day. That's the downside. But like I say, just ignore the trolls, and just the next time a live stream's up, the next time I put a post up, tune into the information. Yeah, the trolls are going to be here 24/7, 365, trying to rattle our cages, annoy us. Just make them background noise. And that's what I'm going to do for all of my days forward. I mean, the trolls right now are just like hammering on my life. I'm just going to pretend like it's not even happening. Sweet lady's at her wit's end right now, but we're going to persevere somehow. So anyhow, we got to persevere because like I always tell Sweet Lady, that's how I always win her back over. I'm like, well, listen, look at she sees how messed up the world is right now. I said, how is it for our karma if we don't try to do anything to stop the evil that's taking place in this world and what they're projecting for us? I mean, she always comes back to, but Zach, you're not having a big enough impact. There's not enough supporter. And I always say, well, yeah, it's true, but it's also never going to happen if you give up. So we got to go through the same debate over here day in and day out. And yeah, for all the people in the world that want to keep harassing us and trying to make me quit. And what do you really want? You want Obama's movie realized? You'll realize it wasn't all about smoking blunts and making troll videos in the truck, you know. That wasn't all there was to life. Should have branched out some more. So. All right, True Seeker. I'm getting tangential. We'll leave it there for now. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and share. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. And until next time.